Hello, Decker M. Hello, Glossy Z. Hello, hello. Welcome, 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 TikTok family. Nick Nack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Katrina Richard, too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tiambe Nicole. Welcome, 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 welcome to our live stream. Welcome, TikTok family. Welcome, YouTube family. I got YouTube here with me as well. We're going to have a very interesting live stream today. Uh, I recommend that you share this, that you like it, because again, we're going to break down ancestral veneration all the way down. I just thought you assumed and knew that you cannot practice hoodoo without ancestral veneration. It is non negotiable. Hello, all TikTok family, Brenda Tiambe. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Greetings, gratitude, love, peace. Love and peace to all of you. You cannot have hoodoo without ancestral veneration. It's non-negotiable. It is not. Hello, Mr. Blash. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing out there? Okay, giving people a couple of minutes to get in here before we even get started on it. Again, you probably don't want to miss this lecture if you are practicing hoodoo. And I'm seeing some practitioners kind of talk about it now since, I've been posting on it. Uh, but I must be something going on with TikTok because I'm not getting much traction. So we're gonna talk about it again, and you probably don't want any more. What? And you probably don't want any more. I don't know what you mean by that, Mr. Blash. I don't know what you mean by that, Mr. Blash. That statement. I don't know what that statement means. Okay. Um. Again, we're gonna talk about ancestor veneration. Hoodoo, you cannot have any ATR. Any ATR, I don't care what you're in, ancestors always come first. Nothing comes before the ancestors. Initiation don't become before the ancestors. No, 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 no. I don't even recommend you even think about initiation of any ATR until you got yourself right with your ancestors. Period. Period. That was a mistake. Okay. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Nikki. I don't recommend you do anything without your ancestors. You shouldn't really be doing any psalm. You shouldn't be doing any magic whatsoever without the consent and the support of your ancestors. Period. I know what they showing you up here and telling you to do this and do that. You wouldn't have to do that, this and that if you was talking to your ancestors. I'm telling you now, you can't have. I just thought you understood that, but apparently not. That's why I'm here today. Okay, hey Red. That's why I'm here today. How you doing, baby? That's why I'm here today. It's imperative. It's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. Our ancestors are not only family who have passed on, they are guides, they are protectors and teachers who walk with us on our journey. Okay? You got to have that. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, Red. Hi, Joanne. You got to have them. They are going to clear the way for your magic. They stand right there with you when you start opening your mouth, saying them psalms. Again, they stand right there with you, protecting your magic, making sure they amplify your work and you heard. You can't have it without it, beloved. That's the first thing you need to learn in hoodoo. And you'll hear me say that over and over in our community. And I think people miss that. They think I'm talking out the side of my neck. Your first form of spiritual communication and mediumship is the ancestors. That's how you're gonna learn to talk to spirits. They're gonna teach you that. Okay? Ain't nothing shaking and moving without it. I'm just gonna tell you that. That's why we go thoroughly over spiritual communication. You have heard me talk about spiritual communication, and hoodoo is not optional. It is the heartbeat of the practice. Without it, rituals lose power and direction. Your magic ain't gonna work. Your stuff ain't gonna work. if you ain't with your ancestors. You're gonna constantly be doing what everybody tell you to do, and you ain't sat down and talk to your ancestors and ask them, is this what you're supposed to be doing? I get it. I get it. I'm sorry. I apologize if that's happening. But now, I'm gonna talk about it because I just under the impression, since it's an ATR, it's ancestral. I don't think that. I think that's probably a missing gun for a lot of us. That's the missing ingredient. Let me get that right. That's the missing ingredient in it. Hello, Angela. Hello, Doris Gillespie. I'm sorry, Doris Gillespie. Hello, welcome, 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 YouTube family. Welcome, 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 TikTok family. Hello, sis Stephen, Sis Stephen. Hello, hello. Okay, that's the main thing. It is non-negotiable. It is not optional. You need that. That's gonna ground your magic. How you think the magic is working? Who created the practice? They're their ancestors. Nothing, because I can't. I'm gonna stress that. I might have to come here again and talk about this because I don't think it's enough practitioners talking about it. Everybody want to show you hoodoo. They want to show you magic, but the heartbeat of the practice, where your foundation is with your ancestors. Praise be the ancestors. It don't move without it. It will not move without it. A lot of this stuff your ancestors probably don't even want you to do. I know people are showing you things up here, but practitioners, it would be nice if they talked about that, because if you don't get there, you're going to be constantly confused and you're going to be going to somebody else all the time because you did not improve your spiritual communication with your ancestors. You didn't have, again, it's good to have a solid foundation with that. Okay? Because if you don't, you ain't going to have no power in your work. I'm just telling you the truth. With it, every working becomes an act of co creation between the living and the ancestors and God. It is how practitioners stay aligned with cosmic law, heal intergenerational wounds, and reclaim spiritual authority in a world that once tried to silence it. Okay, so you have to have ancestral communication, you have to have that ancestral veneration together. I know many of you don't want to hear this. And our ancestors' work is hard work. It is. But it's very rewarding when you put in the work. But if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get much at your practice. If you don't develop a relationship just like you do with your home girl or your boyfriend or your husband, you have to sit there and develop a relationship with them and be at that altar talking, socializing with them. It applies even when they have passed over. That's gonna ground your practice, I'm telling you. And I'm not talking about family members. I'm talking about elevated, vibrant ancestors. These ancestors vibrate so high you can't put no mess on your table. You can't go to them with mess. They're gonna push you to do the shadow work. They are. We're going through that right now over there in our community. They're gonna push you to do the shadow work. After you start using up those spiritual baths and things like that, and you start doing that shadow work, because that's when you're gonna need them spiritual baths. That's when you're gonna need that blockbuster. That's when you're gonna need that road opener to break through all that intergenerational trauma and stuff that was passed on to you. It's non-negotiable, beloved. It is. Hello, Denise. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Ely Custom. Okay, you're gonna need that. Hello, Ami Creator. Hello, YouTube family. You're going to need that ancestral veneration. You're going to need to learn spiritual communication. And really, no one that goes into an ATR shouldn't be going into an ATR or being initiated without consulting your ancestors. Your mediumship skills should be together. Your ancestor veneration should be together. And if you're scared of spirits over here in hoodoo, that ain't, you don't get far, because you got to understand that you are a spirit. So you're gonna be communicating with spirits. You're gonna be communicating with spirits. That's how that go. It ain't like what you see on TV, Hollywood, and that spookism stuff. Paranormal investigator ain't nothing like that. Like what you think in your mind when you get to learning about spiritual communication, because we're breaking that all the way down in there in our community. Okay, not only do we teach, we talk about ancestral veneration, we give you all the resources that you need for that, and then we go right into spiritual communication because you're going to need that. A divination. We're thoroughly covering that, so no one has no excuse why you're not communicating with your ancestors. There's absolutely no excuse. And you think you're not a medium, you think you can't talk to spirits, but once you get that started, the ancestors going to find a way to communicate with you. Your dreams are going to kick up. I promise you. But don't go to those ancestors with no fluff, because those spirits can see right through you. You can't fool a spirit. What were the spurs when you supposed to be the intelligence about COVID? Why don't you live better? I don't know what you're talking about. You're in the wrong live stream. I don't know what live stream you're in. You're in the wrong live stream because we're not talking about COVID. We're not talking about the spurs. I don't know what that is. I know what you're talking about because we're not just talking about that. Okay. So again, the ancestor veneration is important. Spiritual community. You're gonna learn. You're gonna become a medium. If you practicing hoodoo, you should be a medium. Byproduct of that, because that's what comes with hoodoo. We talk. I have came here and talked about necromancy. That's why we cover necromancy. That's why we cover spiritism, because when we start looking at those things, that's how our ancestors were setting up their tables, their altars. They were setting up their tables and their altars to communicate with spirit. It's funny because last night, yeah, that was last night when we came back from the store. I just love Thailand. I was watching, I was watching one of them go to the altar there. They had food in their hand with candles and incense on the tray. Just a beautiful setup they had, and they were standing in front of that altar, putting it on there. It's just so beautiful. See, that's a common practice around here. They have altars and they communicate with spirits all the time. Okay, and they have altars everywhere. But it was just a beautiful setup. She had the food on there. Um, the food here, the culture food on there. She had, and when they light incense, they bought light like 10 or 20 of them at a time, and they put them on the altar. Okay. See, them folks over there probably told they done told us that stuff wrong and all that stuff. But when you go abroad and you start looking at spirituality, you see this is a common practice. So it is necessary. It is imperative that you have an ancestor's altar. It is more a ancestor altar, but have a relationship with your ancestors. Nothing is going to move or go the way you want it to go without that relationship with them. I'm not talking about family members. You kind of do that later. I recommend that you do that later after you do the shadow work. Do not do ancestral veneration. Start that with family members. Start that with elevated ancestors. Don't. I recommend not doing that like that. Okay, it's steps to this. All right, but spiritual communication you got to have it. Okay, that's gonna help with your discernment. That's gonna stop. You'll know when people trying to exploit you or take advantage of you. It won't happen. Okay, if it did happen, the ancestors gonna be right there in your defense. You cannot have any ATRs without it. It used to be a time where the ATRs talked about the ancestors a lot in the early 2000s, but I'm not hearing a lot about the ancestors now. By honoring our ancestors, we keep the spiritual link to our lineage alive. This isn't just about ritual, it's about remembering who we are. You'll start remembering stuff about hoodoo. You didn't even know your ancestors was doing hoodoo. And when you start that altar up and start communicating with them, they will start, because the way spirit communicates, they'll communicate through your memories. Your stuff will start resurfacing that you thought you forgot, and you'll start seeing, uh, things that you dismissed and you didn't know that was hoodoo. They'll be showing you, hey, that was hoodoo. Okay, but you're not gonna know that until you get that altar, set up. And your practice is not going to be strong until you start moving out a lot of that trauma that was passed on to us. That goes hand in hand. I recommend that over there. Okay, I keep that in your face. I don't be so focused on those spells and stuff because usually time when you get your ancestor veneration together, if you did your shadow work, your life gonna fall in alignment. I'm telling you the truth. Then you be looking at what kind of work can you do, what you want to focus on now since you have got in alignment with your ancestors. They will start fixing stuff. They pull up on you, and you following them, and you're sincere, and you're going to that altar and consistency, keeping it clean. You're going to see results. Okay, like this is a science. We have been doing this for such a long time, such a long time. So it is a science. You will get results. I promise you. You will see those ancestors start coming up in your dream. All right, I've seen it. I've seen when people do the work. We have people in the community over there that are already getting results. But there is principles that although hoodoo is not a religion per se, there is steps to deepening your practice with hoodoo. And the first thing that you do is get right with your ancestors before you start picking up stuff doing. In fact, you don't do nothing, none of that stuff until you ask your ancestors. You may not even have to do the work somebody is recommending you. The ancestors might have a totally different way of you handling that. You might have something totally different going on, particularly for you. I'm telling you the truth now. Hello, Miss Whitney. Hello, Saver Army. Hello, Dallas. It, and if you're scared of spiritual communication, you know, I don't know how far you're going to get in hoodoo because you're going to talk to a spirit. I think the most important thing for you to understand, for us to understand, I had to get it through my head that I'm a spirit. I am not this body. I am not this body. I might as well get to know spirit because one day I'm not going to have this body and I'm going to just be a spirit. I'm not going to have this body. The spirit ain't going to have this body to move around in. So again, changing the way you're probably looking at it too, because we've been miseducated in the way us sometimes spirits are presented to us is in spookism, sensation, sense, they try to hype it, okay, sensationalize. That's what I'm trying to say. Sensationalize things, dramatize it, and it's really not that. Spirit speak in uh subtle with strong synchronicities. They're going to show up in your dreams. They will just your things will start to shift. You will start experiencing all this synchronicity, being at the right place at the right time. They set things up for you. You'll start experiencing more of that. Okay, but you're gonna again. You can't do anything without the ancestors. You have to remember who you are, remember what you already have in you, okay? Because we're drawing strength from those who endured before us. You're going to need that strength, you're going to need that power. They understand. So when you start opening your mouth and you start speaking them psalms, these are your spiritual allies. They understand the struggles, okay? They have the wisdom, they have the strength to clear the way for your magic when you start doing it. When your ancestors tell you that something gonna work, believe me, without a shadow of the doubt, 100% it's gonna work when they show you. What these other people showing you, it may work, but I promise you, when you put stuff together with your ancestors, it's 100% works. It may not make sense to nobody else, it ain't supposed to. That is your magic. That is your fingerprint. That is your special, unique frequency and vibration that you use to do your magic. What somebody else is showing you is what their ancestors showed them to tap into their magic. That's why you'll see it works for some people and it sometimes it don't because really it is ancestral. It is ancestral magic at its core. That's how it moves. That's the currency. That's the current and energy, vibration, and frequency of hoodoo magic. Okay? You have to have that. And if you do not have ancestral veneration going on, you're not getting any feedback what's going on. Your ancestor altar is still and you don't know what's going on. Ain't nothing happening, ain't nothing jumping. It's just sitting there. Probably because you need to do some shadow work. Probably because you need to do some shadow work. You need to do some the new term now is shadow work, but really it's ancestral it is ancestors work. That's what they call it. That's the popular name in the ATRs for it. Shadow work gets you in alignment with those elevated ancestors because again, you got to push out all those other spirits that trauma brings in. And believe me, they bring in these oppressive spirits in our generational line. All these old beliefs, all these old way of thinkings that don't serve us anymore that we have used to beat up on ourselves and just make ourselves feel bad, depression, all those things. And some of us have PTSD, inherited PTSD, and learning how to regulate your nervous system because you're going to need that when you're working your magic. All that needs to be regulated. The mind needs to be intact because your mind, again, is a broadcaster for these spirits because they can look right at your mind. They can see what's going on with you. That's your frequency. That's your energy signature. And again, we want to get that vibration high. And it's going to take some work clearing that stuff out. So not only are we cleaning our body, the bath are nothing but a psycho spiritual energetic cleansing to promote the changing of your mind, the renewing and the restoring of your mind. Because you've been around a whole bunch of crazy people, okay? Been around crazy people hundreds of years. These folks have been around these crazy people, and you don't think that impact you? It did, beloved. You just don't see it. Okay, we got to sit with ourselves and understand what happened to our ancestors, because some of us don't even understand the nature of the trauma that happened to us. We don't really understand that. Okay, we don't really understand how that impact us and how that came in our families. We have some of us got some narcissistic families. Some of them are abusive. Some of them just crazy. Okay, we wonder why we was born in that family because you was born to come with that medicine. You the medicine. The ancestors can use you to be the medicine to start healing on that family. Okay, so ancestor veneration is important. It serves as a powerful source of guidance. When we build our relationship with our ancestors, we can receive dreams, signs, and insights to help us navigate life. Root workers often say before working with spirits, saints, and deities, you must first start with your bloodline. You got some of these spirits don't even want to talk to you uh, without you having a relationship with your ancestors. It is required to be in alignment with your ancestors before you even talk to these deities. That's how it's supposed to be in the ATRs. They supposed to align you up with your ancestors, your elevated ancestors, before they even start messing with you with a deity. I'm gonna tell you the truth, okay? I mean, they're powerful. You gotta have that guidance. They're watching out for you. And if you want your hoodoo to be strong, you want it to be grounded, you want to get results in it. Again, the ancestors come first. Now, if you're interested in ancestral veneration and you want to know more about ancestral veneration, more about spiritual communication and things like that, we have a wonderful community over there on Patreon if that's something that you're interested in. And yes, Hoodoo is closed. We're going thoroughly over that. And when I hear people say, "Oh, my ancestral veneration," when I hear them saying they having problem out of their practice, or they haven't been to the ancestors altar, I start prying and asking questions. Okay, are you doing shadow work? are you even practicing sitting there and trying to make contact with them? What sort of divination do you have when you communicate with your ancestors? I go to prying. What's on your ancestors' altar? Is it family member or is it, elevated ancestors? I get the gauging of, how much they know or what's going on with it. And usually when I get the gauging, some of these things I'm mentioning are the issue. Okay. Believe me, I know this. I've been following ancestors for a long time. But none shaking and moving in my practice or nothing like that until again I got with those ancestors and start seeing big shifts. When you do it right, you start seeing them shifts. You be like, oh my God. They show up. They make sure that you know it's them. They make sure that you know it's them. And I think one of the other issues too, and you've probably heard me talk about this on one of my videos, and we cover all sorts. We cover hoodoo from the rooter to the tutor, from the top to the bottom. We cover all aspects of hoodoo. Okay, make sure you have a wonderful foundation that get you started on your journey. But one of the things that we cover in hoodoo too is looking at that conjure. Okay, we look at conjure very, very closely. We look at other spirits that you can work with. We do work with other spirits. We work with saints. We work with angels. And one of the questions that come up with people too, and and I know what they're telling you in these religions, ATR religions. People will ask, is the Orisha and is the Loas in hoodoo? Now I'm going to respond to this. And I'm gonna tell you about my experience and other people's experiences that we've discussed these experiences we have had once we start doing our rituals to our ancestors. Sometimes these deities like the Loas or the Orishas will pull up on you during a ritual. It's hard to dismiss it. You would see signs and symbols. It would be, something is happening. Okay, because that happened to me. Hi Mitch. Hi, how you doing? Hi, TLP. Sometimes they will pull up on you. So I don't know how I have to explain it. And remember, the only thing I could, like the ancestors told me, they said it doesn't change because you're in hoodoo. Some of us are familiar with the Loas and the Orishas. Some of us work with them very well. We have a relationship. And so if they had a relationship with these Loas and Orishas, they will introduce them to you. They will have them playing and stuff, pulling up on you. That happened to me. I was in a full blown ritual. My ancestors told me to go down to the river and do a ritual. Here I am. I'm looking at this man looking like Papa Legba. I'm telling you, with my own eyes. Couldn't have made that up. Couldn't have, that whole thing. It was so much synchronicity in that. The way they guided me to go to the river. They told me it was gonna stop raining because it was raining when I went out there. When I got out there, it stopped raining. And here they come this man getting out his truck looking like Papa Leg, but looking at me like he know me. It's just very odd to me. Synchronicities from the time I did that ritual to the time that ritual ended. You will see this, and that sometimes that happens. And I think during this time too. Now that was, yeah. Right before that, I had a lot of babalaos jumping in my box telling me that the ancestors told them to pray for me, and they was sending me prayers. I mean, mighty prayers. I've never experienced anything like that. Reading the prayer, and and I can see them standing saying these prayers in my head, in my mind's eye. I can see them saying. I can hear the words coming out the prayers as I read them. They were so mighty, and I would ask them, "Hey, why are y'all praying for me? What's going on?" They was like, "I don't know. The ancestors just told us to pray for you." I had 2 or 3 of them do me like that, okay? I've had 2 or 3, and the ancestors will show up. I have no control over that, and that is the correct answer of that. I can't tell you, that they not in there, because again, you start working with your ancestors. Sometimes they'll have these spirits pulling up on you. I'm telling you, it'll trip you out. You be like, what the hell? I thought I had to be in the religion. No, they're still in that bloodline. It doesn't change because you're not in the religion. You got to remember, our ancestors were not religious. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know a lot of people don't want you to say that. A lot of these ATRs are probably going to get upset at me as saying this. Okay, but I'm just telling you the truth. And then other people have had that same experience. They have had Papa Legba pull up on them in a ritual. They're doing a whole ritual outside, and here he comes, signs of him come up, and he be right in the middle of that ritual. He is always there because the ancestors know that you need him there. I'm telling you now, I've seen it with my own eyes. I have experienced it. Now I know what they telling you in these ATRs. No, you have to instantly, when you ask about the Orisha or the Voodoo, they go instantly into the religion and be initiation. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, is that in there, because we're seeing that. You seeing it. If you asking that, you seeing it somewhere. Okay. I have no control of, because some of our ancestors did have relationship with the Orisha. Some of our ancestors did have relationship with some of the lowers. Some of our relationship, our ancestors did have a deep relationship with some of the saints and some of the angels. Okay, but you're not going to know that until you start being consistent in the rituals, and they'll start showing you stuff. They'll start setting it up. If you wanted to talk to a deity, they'll tell you whether or not you can talk to Ogun. Do you need to talk to Ogun? They'll set that up. He'll start coming up in your dream. You ask your ancestors, they'll set that up. And Ogun and those spirits start coming up in your dream. I'm telling you the truth. When you follow the ancestors, your spiritual journey is limitless. See, you think it's limits to hoodoo. No, it ain't. It's limitless. When you start following the ancestors, ain't no telling where they gonna take you. They have you exploring and teaching you things that nobody else know. You get secret knowledge don't nobody else know. When you sit down and talk to those spirits, you sit down and talk to your ancestors. Their story is going to be totally different from some of the stories you have heard. It's going to trip you out. You're going to be like, I didn't hear that before. I've never heard of that before. But they ain't lying. Just because you ain't heard it don't mean they ain't lying. Just like they told me, baby, that happened in reverse. Everybody ain't from Africa. Honey, a lot of us come from America. A lot of these folks, they think they come from Africa. They come from America. This before people started talking about it. Egypt wasn't over there in Africa. It was everything was over here. You standing here, you been here thousands of years, child, right here on this land. They playing with you. They talk to me just like that. Okay, when you listen to the ancestors, don't be listening to these people. Because you may not understand what the ancestors are telling you, but they don't lie. Okay, they don't lie. And I'm telling you, they've been too good to me. They have led me, they have covered me so many times. They have protected me so many times that I didn't even know I needed to be protected. They have taught me things that, my little mind probably wouldn't understand without them teaching me. And I don't know everything. I'm still a child up under them. But I'm telling you right now, ain't nothing, you need them. Okay, beloved? Mine talk to me like that too. Yes, they will talk to you. Won't nobody be fooling you, trying to pull you into something. You won't be going for no shenanigans. I tell you that. Once you got them ancestors with you, they gonna protect you. Okay, we ain't gonna have no need to be putting folks in pots and all that sort of stuff, because again they gonna keep a hedge of protection around you. Okay, they take care of their people now. Believe me, when them ancestors, honey, embrace you in their arms, baby, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Green soap, stop the cap. I don't know what you mean by that. Stop the green soap. Maybe this ain't the live stream for you. Maybe this ain't for you, beloved. Maybe you need to go somewhere else. Because on this live stream, we're talking about ancestors. And if that's capped to you, you probably want to go somewhere else that hear something that you listen to something you want to hear. Because you're not, if this bothering you, And it's gonna continue to bother you because we're gonna stay on this subject. Okay, green soap. Okay. That we're gonna talk about it. It's not enough about this. Too much talk about hoodoo magic and not enough to talk about the ancestors. You can't touch none of that stuff. Don't be touching none of that stuff until you get that right. Ask them how they want you to do it, not what people are showing you. Because I'm telling you, what people are showing you, I've seen the ancestors show people something totally different. You'd be surprised what I see. I got somebody over there that's doing some work now, and I ain't never heard of no work being done like that. I'm like, but it's working because their ancestors showed them how to do it that way. Hello, sacred goddess. I'm always puzzled when I see somebody's magic look like somebody else's. They say somebody that's all they're learning in their practice is their hoodoo practitioners just giving them a whole bunch of workings. And I'm like, why did no, that's not your ancestors ain't showing you that. You got somebody else showing you that. No, this is ancestral. Hi, green mama source. I don't know what you mean by that, green soap. Are you trolling? Are you trolling me? Is that what you're doing, honey? Don't you have something else? That's just a waste of energy to do that, beloved. Are you trolling me? So again, those ancestors, they come first, beloved. You can't have it, but how I know what you see right there, I like look good. And even though in our community we don't focus per se on spells. We focus on getting your mind right to do the work. So you can understand what you picking up and how it works. Yeah, it spells over there. You can craft your own spells. I recommend everybody craft their own spells and that you read the material and understand it. So when you go to your table, you go to doing your work, you know what you're doing. You've asked your ancestors and you guys are putting things together. They're guiding you to put things together. Okay, you got your divination together. You've been communicating with your ancestors. It's a relationship. You're taking the spiritual baths. You're seeing big shifts. All this works together. You can't have one without the other. You just can't. You can't have hoodoo magic without the ancestors. It don't work like that. It just don't. I wouldn't want to be standing up there saying them songs and stuff all about myself, and the work ain't protected. And it's somebody, it could be some negative energy around it, stopping, blocking my prayers and stuff like that. I don't want to be saying my stuff like that. It just ain't grounded. I don't know where it's gonna go, Lord, because I ain't got no spiritual allies. I ain't been working with no spiritual, I ain't got no spiritual friends. I'm just raw out here in these spiritual streets with no protection. I'm aiming and don't know how it's gonna fall. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's gonna work or not. It's just no, no. That's not the way. Okay. And if that's happening with you, and you go to your practitioner, you say it's not working. The first thing that should be asked, okay, what's going on with the ancestral veneration? Are you doing any ancestors work? Are you holding any fears and doubts and things like that? Poverty mindset, scarcity. Somebody asked me a question. Do you do readings to tell us what ancestors work with us? No, ma'am. You do readings yourself and you find that out for yourself. That's what this about. You don't need nobody talking to your ancestors for you. That's the problem. That's one of the problems. Okay? We got other people standing in and blocking and gatekeeping our ancestors when that's not even, it ain't even necessary to do that if we sit down and we start talking to our ancestors and open ourselves up to them for communication. That's the problem. I had someone telling me they were in an ATR. That was the oddest thing to me ever. And she said she was in an ATR, and I said, okay. She was in ATR. I said, are you working with your ancestors? Because she was having problems. I said, are you working with your ancestors? Are you ask your ancestors for guidance? She said, no, because my God, I don't know who the person was. She said he was doing taking care of her ancestors for her. I said, what? And I think that man was in another country. I said, I've never heard of such a thing. That don't sound right. How somebody gonna talk to your folks for you? That don't even make sense to me. I don't know about that. I was like, I don't know about that. You need to be talking to your folks. What is going on? You don't need nobody talking to your folks for you. That didn't sound right to me. Okay, so we need to be talking to our folks because people will lie, but the ancestors don't. And you want a strong practice and you want to have these psychic abilities, you want to be able to talk to these spirits. Again, it's going to take you slowing down, sit down somewhere, and get yourself together and start talking to your ancestors. Did you say you want Hoodoo? Just because you say I let me, it's not. It's this. Just because this is not an ATR, don't mean that we don't have structure over here in Hoodoo. We absolutely have structure. We absolutely. Nothing that ancestor veneration, shadow work, what they're calling, they're calling shadow work, but it's ancestors work, doing that healing because that's an offering to them. And you got again, get on a higher frequency to work with these more elevated ancestors. These are not family members. These are elevated ancestors. Many of them are angelic and saint-like. So you have to get on that frequency. Move that stuff out so you can hear them. Right now, you're vibing at a low frequency because of that intergenerational trauma. Those spirits came in there, got us doubting ourselves, got us thinking that we can't talk to our ancestors, got us cut off. We don't know who we are. All them spirits up in there. So you got to purge that stuff out through shadow work, ancestors work, because you got to remember who you are. These people that lied to you. Okay, so that's gonna take some healing. Our nervous system is all shot to hell. We can't even sit down. Some of us don't like to listen because we love to be entertained. If we not being entertained and it ain't sensationalized, we don't want to hear it. We want to go somewhere else. All this is trauma's response. But you don't even know that you're under this until you slow down your nervous system and trying to focus. And you're gonna see how those spirits got your mind. Yep, I had a babalo tell me that I didn't need an ancestor altar. See there, I don't know why they would tell you that. That's the craziest thing. Because every babalo, and I know something happened. I guess I was lucky in the early 2000s because that's when a lot of them was, maybe a lot of them was the truth then. Because I had them people coming in my boxes, praying for me, sending me prayers, and I had never experienced anything like that with one of their prayers, baby. If it's a real babalo or Ifa priestess or whatever, and baby, they sending you some prayers. I promise to God, just by reading them prayers, you can feel your spirit start getting lighter and lighter and lighter. Baby, I was reading them prayers and they was healing me. You could tell something was happening because I start hearing them, and maybe that's just my ability. But I could clear audibly hear them saying those prayers when I read them. I ain't never experienced nothing like that. So don't if a babalo, if they the truth and they say they gonna pray for you, let them do it. Honey, let them do it. Let them do it. If they say the ancestors said to pray for you, honey, let them do it. They doing you a favor. Them prayers, honey. I don't know what they got them laced up with, but honey, they got them prayers laced up with some power. Just by reading them, they shift your consciousness. Okay, they raise your frequency just by reading them. I've never seen anything like that. The way they pray. That's just, and I was just reading it. He wasn't even saying it, but I can hear him saying it when I was reading it. I can hear his voice and everything when I was reading it. And maybe that's my clairaudient. I don't know what they got now. I don't know what these babalos, I don't know what they got now. Maybe I was lucky back then the ancestors was watching over me. And they was sending the right ones to me. Maybe that was that going on. But the ones now that trying to keep you from your ancestors and stuff, uh-uh. And most of the people that I know that's in the ATR, when you start talking about the ancestors, they be front and center, honey. They want to hear it because they know how mighty the ancestors is. Most of them, and when you talking about the ancestors, most of them ATRs, that's the way I experience. You start talking about ancestors, they get front and center. They want to hear it. They don't care if you ain't in their religion. if they the truth. They love hearing about the ancestors because that's how their practice came to be. It's front and center. Nothing comes before the ancestors. Your ancestors are mighty. Okay, before initiation, before these religions, the ancestors come first because we wouldn't have any of that without them. Miss Penny, I was about to catch up on your other video and now you're live. I'm torn. I'm sorry, baby. But you probably have already heard this. We have already went over ancestor veneration. We're going over spiritual communication now, and I'm beating it in your head over there. So you're gonna get, you're gonna get this lecture anyway over there. So you're not missing anything. If you want to leave live stream, go over there. You're not missing anything, baby, because you got it all over there in our Hoodoo community. Because we break this all down. Let's see if anybody else asking questions while I'm talking. Okay. So do that ancestral veneration, and then I know what you're seeing out here, baby. I know it's confusing. Some of y'all young and you really want to be get close to your ancestors, and you really, you're really attracted to hoodoo, and you really want to learn the right way, and you really want to put in the work. Some of you do. And they just keep showing you stuff and you trying this and trying that, and you're confused. You don't know what's going on with your practice, baby. I'm gonna tell you this. Get over there and get right with your ancestors, and baby, everything gonna come clear. I promise to God it will. I promise it will. I ain't lying to you. You get right with those ancestors, it's gonna come clear. I got somebody over there now, this young lady. I think she in the live right now. Honey, that young lady started getting her practice together. She was doing those rituals. And she said, the angels had came to her and showed her how to line and to see, and I can see how our ancestors start using that almanac. The angels started showing her how to use these planets to line her magic up with these planets. And she made a whole chart and she posted in our community. See, that's what start happening when you start doing work with your ancestors. That's what happens when you are consistent with your ritual. Okay, that's what happens. Yes, he's trolling. Yeah. What should I study first when I'm in Hoodoo? Ancestral veneration, spiritual communication. Ancestor veneration, spiritual communication. Dominique Venable. There is a difference. Hoodoo is an ancestral practice straight up. But those other practices, there are different roles and destinies attached where they are with their rights in their system. I'm not dismissing them, but what I'm saying here, Ray Alexander, the ancestors come first. I don't care what they talking about. I don't care. I don't care what nobody talking about. I don't care. None of that would exist without the ancestors. Period. Where did it come from? I'm going back to the root. This is root work here. Where did it come from? Who started doing it at first? Not dismissing the systems at all. But when it comes into a religion and all that stuff, again, man start deceiving and a lot of deception and manipulation start going on when we start again holding on to these religions. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it, but what I'm saying, the ancestors should always be front and center. Stop picking up stuff and doing stuff without the guidance of your ancestors. You're only hurting yourself and crossing yourself up. That's all you're doing. That's all you're gonna be doing. You're gonna be confused, running to any practitioner that you think that's gonna help you, or you can get their magic. And stop looking at these faces because no one is more powerful than you. You'll see that them folks they don't probably know more than what you know. Some of them. You ain't gonna know that though until you start working with your ancestors. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh. Okay. Stop doing that. Some of we like to be entertained. Uh, we love the fluff. But this ain't no, you see, when you start working with your ancestors doing that work, this ain't about no fluff. You actually work. This is a spiritual science. If you do the work, develop a relationship with your ancestors, you'll see that. And I break this down to a science to you. I can actually show you the science of it. It's too much information on working with spirits for you not to be communicating with your ancestors. I show that to you. Break it all the way down for you. So you don't be confused. Okay, so I see I must have to start blocking people in here. I'm gonna have to start blocking people or get mediators or something. I don't know why you want to come here. If when I don't like something nobody's saying or whatever, I just scroll past. I buy my own business. You keep yourself safer like that, okay? I'm just telling you. You don't like something, you ain't gonna do nothing but help me because you ain't doing nothing but pouring energy into what I'm saying, and I ain't gonna do nothing but you ain't gonna do nothing but transmute for me and help me. That's what you're doing. You ain't gonna do nothing but help me. So if you want to be in them comments like that and doing that, it ain't gonna do nothing but help me. Okay? So you probably want to think about that while you're in there trolling. All right? So think about that. You helping me. You think you're not helping me, but you are. So again, doing that ancestral communication, healing some of those wounds, and again, you'll get an alignment. I, again, again, Ray Alexander, I am not dismissing the spiritual system. What I am dismissing when people get to open their mouth and they don't talk about the ancestors. And okay, I'm gonna talk about your system. I'm gonna talk about your system. In your system, do y'all honor y'all ancestors? Do y'all honor y'all ancestors? Do y'all honor y'all ancestors? I know that's what you think. You think that there's two separate set of technologies. No, but there is a global approach to spiritual communication. There's a global approach, universal to spiritual communication when it comes to ancestor veneration. There's a global approach. We look at all those ancestral veneration from around the world and look how they approach ancestral veneration. Ancestral veneration is an open door to help you work with other spirits. That's what I'm telling you. And when you make friends with the spirit in the spiritual realm, there is a different realms of rules. Now, that is the rule that you have here on this physical earth, that you don't mix religions. But when you go through the ancestors again, they will open the door for you to work with other systems or other deities. It doesn't change when they passed over and they had this technology in them. We can't control if they're going to share that with us. I'm telling you that the ancestors have the ability to share that technology with you and have you working successfully with other deities. You're doing it now in your own system. Now, just because you see an individual not a part of that system doing it on their own, it upsets you. But if their ancestors taught them that, who are you to say anything? Because your ancestors gave you the very system that you're using. And we know among African diaspora, people had to restructure their spiritual system to communicate with these deities and their ancestors. And one of them is their ancestral communication and setting up altars and tables and looking at the signs of spiritism. I'm gonna break it down to you, so ain't nobody attacking your religion. So even though you saying I'm going to get you, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna take you back to the root because we both talking about the same thing. Okay, we both talking about the same thing. We ain't talking about nothing different. We's talking about the same ancestors that had that spiritual science in them when they passed over. And you don't think when you start talking about talking to your ancestors and you look in your spiritual court and you're talking about, you want to be advanced spiritual, you don't think they're going to introduce that to you? You don't think they're going to introduce that to you? And to me, it seemed like common sense. But when you talk to, some ATRs, they're going to tell you absolutely not that. Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you because I got Elegba. I got these Orishas pulling up on me. So what you talking about? They coming in dreams and all this stuff. So how you explain that? I asked my ancestors questions and I asked, do I need to talk to them? And they bring them to me. So what are you saying? You have no control. Religion has no control over the spiritual realm. You do not own spirits. You cannot own a spirit. You don't own these things. You have rituals. You work with them. You have your own and spirit calls to them, your own invocations. They call when you come. Yeah, you have all of that. And so do I. Okay? These spirits are a lot older than the religion. So again, this is common sense. I'm glad you came back too, Miss P. Tell them that's right, okay? I'm just gonna tell you the truth, and I know this ain't a popular truth because we used to stuff to making us feel good and stroking our ego and making us feel like we could just do anything and it's magic and all this sort of stuff. But no, you cannot. It's some stuff your ancestors don't want you doing. Or they don't want you to do it the way somebody showed you. They got their own way. I conjure in my core, but I only will speak on Hoodoo. I don't speak on any ATR. I'm just speaking on this, Ray Alexander, because what I'm seeing here is people are getting initiated, picking up Hoodoo, and nobody is talking about the ancestors. Then they get an initiation, and they all confused. Shouldn't have been over there anyway because you didn't have a relationship with your ancestors. And then too, you got a lot of practitioners and a lot of ATRs are not talking about that, and they're just talking about initiation. Again, initiation shouldn't be discussed until people are gotten right with their ancestors, because that be the big mistake, and you get over there and be confused, and then you get in one of those crazy god houses or they little houses they have over there, and everything is dysfunctional. You still living in your life still the same. It's still messed up because you did not understand the importance of ancestral veneration. That's why we're having this topic today. That's why we're talking about it. There ain't nobody talking about it. And people are they getting scammed, they being exploited, and all this kind of stuff. And most of it, and when I'm looking at it, is because they don't have a relationship with their ancestors. Because if they had a relationship with their ancestors, they wouldn't have got scammed or none of that stuff. Should have been told to them first. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Okay, so I'm gonna break that all the way down for you, so you know ain't nobody trying to attack them. We'll be trying to getting to understand. Ain't nothing shaking and moving or getting no going over there. You gotta go to your ancestors. Ain't no way around it. Even though that hoodoo is not a religion, it is a spiritual practice, but the core and center to every ATR that you go in is the ancestors come first. It don't it's not above initiation. And just because you get initiated, it doesn't mean that you're going to be aligned with that deity. If you ain't did that work, this takes work. You got to build a relationship, sit at that altar, do offerings, refine yourself, do the work. Self mastery is a consistent thing when you're working with your ancestors. You're constantly elevating your bloodline when you heal and work on you and pray for those family members that passed over like that with that trauma on top of them like that. That's what happens. I'm explaining it to you simply. Okay. So if you picking up hoodoo and you picking up something and it didn't work and all that stuff, again, did your ancestors tell you to do it? Stop following people because if the way I mentorship, I'm gonna tell you something and I'm gonna say, okay, ask your ancestors first. Don't follow me because I said it. Because the goal is to get you comfortable and having faith and trust in your ancestors. So I'm gonna always tell you, ask your ancestors first, see what they say. And if they say no, be able to take a no and ask them, is there something else that you need to be doing? They will tell you. Okay, people are using hoodoo as a hop skip to ATRs when we do have many of the same elements here. I think we have more conservative elders than others in the ATRs, and so there is a gap, and so they seek out. I think one of the other things too, Ray Alexander, is people try to make hoodoo seem Christian. And I think a lot of elders, because they learn hoodoo in the church, they think hoodoo is Christian. I think it kind of lost what hoodoo truly was when it got in the Christian church. Because you got some people that is in the church and they practice hoodoo, but they don't call it that. It was passed on from their mama, and they do it. They don't call it that. You better not even call it. Think about calling it hoodoo or something else. Them folks will get mad at you. Okay, I don't think some of them. I think they don't even realize what they're doing because again, sometimes the way I saw it, nobody called it that. Okay, you see something going on, peculiar going on in church and all that. You just thought that that was a part of Christianity in some kind of way because we were trying to keep it secret under the church. Uh, no one knew what it was. They just thought it was Christian and they took it like that. I think that's a lot of stuff that happens too. And so when we try to talk to elders about what it is, to them it may look like we're trying to do witchcraft or something like that to them, and that's not Christian because we're using different terms for something they have been practicing for a long time. I think that is the issue too. There is a generational gap in what we're calling hoodoo. I hope that made sense. Because like I said, when I was growing up, nobody called it that. Down the south, we didn't call it that. I've never heard a elder or no one say that came out of their mouth. Okay, I think that's a big gap as well. And then too, they don't want to trust a lot of these young people as well. They don't want to teach the young people because they're not sure if they are fully mature enough to even handle the things that they have learned, and they don't want it to be handled carelessly. Because most old folks think young folks is crazy. I'm telling you. I've had my grandmother. I never forget me. I thought she was gone, and she had her pew pew, and she really didn't trust me. This is my grandmother, and she looked at me. She said, "Y'all young folks is crazy. I don't trust you." As they get older, and I'm getting a little older. As I get older, I look at some young people, and I think that too sometimes. But yeah, a lot of them they think young folks crazy, ain't got no sense, and they hold this in their mind. They don't want to trust no young folks. You got them like that because they don't trust them. You got to be really sitting under those elders like that all the time. They got to know you to be able before they start giving you stuff, showing you stuff. Because most of them don't trust young people. You got to be really sitting around them a lot and listening to them before they share anything to you. That's how I've experienced them. Facts. That's some of my family story. Conjured through prayer worker. She was legit spiritual worker for the community. A lot of the same tools I use in conjure, just one is the church phase. I'm telling they be doing it and they don't call it that. And if you call it that, they get mad at you. Because that's not what they call who they didn't call it that. To them it's Christian. And I think that they don't know because nobody told them that they were just showing you something. You know how your grandma and them they show you stuff and they don't tell you what they doing. That's what happened to me. My mother's boyfriend had me out there doing hoodoo, and I didn't even know I was doing it. It's not till I got older I was like, oh my God, I was doing the workings with him. He pulled me into that work. I didn't even know I was doing it. They just show you something, and you have no idea of what that is. And you may see it in other families, but we never talk about it. That's just like sweeping over our feet. Even though we were in different families, we knew not to be sweeping nobody's damn foot. We knew that. That we got that right the first time. Did we know there was hoodoo? Absolutely not. We were just doing what our ancestors did. Don't whistle in the house. Don't wear a hat in the house. Don't open an umbrella in the house. Things like that. Did we know that was hoodoo? We didn't. We was just doing what they told us to do. Okay, so sometimes you didn't know. You don't know why it's there. You don't even know it's hoodoo. And so hoodoo got stuck in the culture. So now when you see it, it's blurred because it they were very fancy in doing it. I think they were doing it that way to protect us as well and also embedded in us. That's a way of embedding it in us. Put pennies in all the window sills. See, that's another one. Look at that. She said, put penny in all the window sills. See, they'll show you something you don't even know it's hoodoo. You have no idea what it is, but but you do it, and then you find out later, oh, this is hoodoo. But if you tell them that it's hoodoo, they're gonna get mad because they didn't call it that. There wasn't no name for it. You accuse them because in their mind, you're accusing them of witchcraft. You accusing them of doing something wrong. And that's not what they doing there. And if that's what you calling it, they're gonna rebuke you in the name of Jesus. They don't have no idea that they're doing this. Hey, Andrea, because it got stuck in the culture. It just got embedded in the culture. It's just something that we did. We did not call it that. Does hoodoo come before doing any magic? No, ancestors come before anything. Ancestors come before anything. The magic will come later. Nothing comes before the ancestors. Okay? You're gonna need that magic when you go to healing on yourself doing ancestors work. That you're gonna be doing that on you. Them spiritual baths, them blockbusters, um, them road openers. That's what you're gonna be doing. Uncrossings. That's you're gonna be doing that on you to get your mind and get your stuff together. That's the first magic you're gonna do on yourself. Cause you're gonna be calling out to your ancestors for help. To help heal you of anything the trauma that you got on top of you like that. Helping you to love yourself and helping you heal yourself from any trauma that you are experiencing right now. Because you got to get your nervous system together. Because a lot of us don't know how to sit down. You think we got to be always doing something. And you can't get no messages from spirits if you're in survival mode, always doing this, doing that. You have to slow down. And a part of your self care is sitting there talking to your ancestors and listening. If you need a divination method, get that. Start perfecting that to try to talk to your ancestors. But that's what need to be going on now. And them spirits see you. So don't go on there thinking you finna get this and that and you gonna trick them out. You can't trick no spirit, so get that out your mind. Ain't gonna happen. People have tried and they run back over there at the church. My mama and Graham auntie said will be one the altar, and I have and do. Okay. And again, and I'm gonna say this again for you those of you are putting. I'm a look at it from my perspective. Another reason I look at don't put family members on the altar. Them people been working all their life. They tired as hell. I'm not putting them on my altar. They got other stuff to do on the other side. I'm not putting them up there. I'm not putting them folks up there. They was tired. They was in survival mode. Them folks need to rest. I need to pray for them people. I only need to be working with the most elevated, vibrant ancestors. The healthiest ones, the ones that have been rested, the names that have been lost in history, the unknown ancestors. Family members, I don't recommend that you put them on there unless they start coming to you or you choose to work with them because they were loving, kind people. They actually love you and like you. Just because they love you don't mean they like you. I love my family, but I don't like them. A lot of them I don't like. I love them, but I don't like them. So keep that in mind. Just because they your family don't mean they like you. I've seen my grandma get graveyard when I was younger, and she also cleansed my first apartment for me. I wasn't able to learn from her before she passed. Now, like somebody like that, I would probably put her on my altar. If she's coming up cleansing stuff and she's coming up trying to help you, then I would probably put her on my altar. But you want to be very particular about how you're building your spiritual allies with your ancestors. You have a say so about the ancestors and family members you choose to work with. And some of us, we got a lot of stuff in our family. We got addiction in our family. We got abusers in our family. We got people with mental illness in our family. Uh, they got stuck in our bloodline. And some of that stuff we inherited. You're not going to see it until you get out of survival mode and start doing ancestors work. And you can start, you really going to need those spiritual baths then. You're gonna really need to start doing that workings, that uncrossing work and all that stuff. You're gonna really start to do that then. You're gonna see some shifts happen, and they need to happen with you first, clearing your life up. And when you start doing that, you're gonna see, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to do no spells now because my life, the ancestors done fixed my life. All I gotta do is go to that altar and tell them what's going on with me, and honey, see if they got something for me, or see what kind of healing work I need to do another shift, to put me back in alignment where I need to be. It'll be just that simple. You'll see that it's not all about magic, it's about your thinking. Because magic starts in your mind. All this coming from your mind. Because your mind is all messed up and jacked up and all that stuff. You can't properly tap into your magic. You don't have no spiritual allies. All that has to be right. Is an altar necessary for some people? You can start off with libations if you want to. Like I tell people, if you want to keep your ancestor altar outside, fine. But you have to start off with. I recommend you start off with libation. But at some point, if you're talking about doing magic, you're gonna get it. You need an ancestor altar in that house. I don't recommend nobody start picking up doing magic if you don't have an ancestor's altar in your house. It trips me out when I see people that wants to practice hoodoo and all this stuff, but you don't want an ancestor altar. But you got a magic altar up there for you to do all that other stuff, but you ain't got no ancestor altar. Make it make sense. But you need your ancestors to do the magic. So, and then the only way your house, is gonna stay protected and you keep a consistent flow of good energy coming in, because that's what altar do. They shift the house and bring in shift the energy and help you be able to help you communicate with spirits and do your magic. Alter means to shift. Altered consciousness. Alter is the same. Alter means to shift, different state. You're going into different states of consciousness, different dimensions. Alter. So at some point, you're going to need an ancestor's altar in that house. I wouldn't even be doing any magic or hoodoo or anything without an ancestor's altar in my house. Because I know they're going to cover it, they're going to open the way. Now, I used to care what people think about me having an altar. I don't care no more. You have to come in and see it. I'm not going to show it, but I don't care anymore. So if you care about what people think, you gonna have to get that out your head. Because what's more important, the ancestors or what people think? And some people they used to come in my house, especially Hispanics. It doesn't bother them at all. They used to seeing altars all over. They walk right past it because they know they don't even look at it. You know what I'm saying? Most of them got a few in their house. Never had to worry about the Hispanics. When they came there to shop with me or came in my house, it was never a problem to it at all. I only had people that were from America, that were, it was new to them. Even when they come in here in my house, the Thailand people, it doesn't weird them out because these people got altars in their houses. They got altars on the corner. They got altars in front of their business. They got altars everywhere here. Anywhere you can put an altar, and even if it can't fit, they're gonna put one there. Okay, we the only one in America to find is a Christian a nation, but we scared of altars. It don't make no sense. We scared of spirits, but see here we is praying to a spirit. I just make it make sense. See, all that stuff got to get out your mind. You got to reprogram yourself. I dealt with it too. That's why I can tell you that I had to reprogram my whole self and get to a point. The ancestors had to get me to the point. What's more important, us or them? Who fixing your life, them or us? Okay, now you got to get to that point. So at some point you gonna need that altar, honey. You want them ancestors to cover you, honey. I don't like being nowhere without them having an altar up, because I want to be covered and I want to be able to get to that altar when I got something going on with me, so I can open my mouth and talk. Okay, you can start off with libations. There are people that start off with libations and they make great progress. Some people say, "Oh, I don't want no altar in my house." We'll put it outside. Stay dedicated to it. Keep it clean. That's fine. But you're gonna need one. It just don't make no sense to have a magic altar, but you're scared of an ancestor's altar, but you want to practice hoodoo. And the only way you can practice hoodoo is if you communicate with ancestors. I mean, make it make sense. You have people doing it. I have a lot of people, a lot of people, they the first thing they do is put up a magic altar. No, you need to take that down. You need to really keep your hands. And if you do have an altar like that, that altar need to be for healing. It need to be for healing. It need to be an altar where you go to healing, doing your work, But an ancestor altar should be the first altar that you have up, because ain't nothing shaking and moving without that. I'll keep saying that. And if you're practitioners, these practitioners are showing you something and they are not talking about the importance of ancestor veneration. They instead of telling you, well, you got to get your mind right. You got to get all these doubts and fears and all that. No, don't tell them that. Tell them that they need to do ancestors work. Tell them they need to go back to ancestral veneration and they need to take their time, because sometimes it takes time to reprogram your mind and get that crap out of there. It took time for somebody to pour poison in your mind, so it's gonna take time for you to get it out and do that shift. And even with the to really get strong in your hoodoo practice, it's gonna take a year, because you got to learn, you got to read, you got to learn how to focus and sit down somewhere and pay attention and not wanting to be entertained all the time. You got to watch your energy and what you focus your mind on. You really have to become the master of self. There's discipline with this. And the more discipline that you have with yourself, the work that you do with on yourself, you open up that magic. Because them spirits is not gonna mess with you if you ain't got no discipline. If you ain't doing no work, that you ain't gonna get far. I'm telling you like it is. And the practitioner should be breaking it down to you like this. Because it ain't gonna it's not gonna be overnight before you start doing the shifting. It may take a while. Be patient with yourself, be loving with yourself. It's not your fault. But I promise you, as you do the work, you're gonna see more and more changes. But you're scared to put an altar in the house, but you want to practice in the spirit world. Yep, you get some people like that. Don't make no sense to me. You wanna practice, you wanna do magic, but you scared of the spirit world. So what you think you're doing when you do magic? I don't know a person that's doing magic without some spiritual help. And I'm telling you, I've read this through every we go through a lot of things. I'm not talking outside of my neck. I take you straight there to the spiritual science so you can see it with your own eyes. I'm not making this up. That's why we go over these lectures and I affirm it and I provide you with resource so you can see it for yourself. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to make it hard for you. This is how you build a spiritual relationship with ancestors. This is how you communicate with spirits. Okay, I don't just tell if I'm telling you something and it's wonderful the way the ancestors work. When I go to talking about something, using the lecture and the next paragraph, I'm reading about the very thing I just said because I know this. They have sat down and explained this to me. And they have told me before I found books. So I had to follow my ancestors first. And that's how it worked for me in reverse, Lord. And I used to get mad when they did me like that. Lord, I did. Me and them ancestors go back and forth. I said, I don't want to be doing this. And I ain't read this nowhere. I don't have any materials that's like, no, we doing this different. We showing you first. We want you to trust. We'll show you what that is right later, but we want you to do this now. It was all about trust. It was all about obedience. And I did it. And then later, I'll be somewhere, they'll be like, pick up that book right there. And I pick up the book and look at it, and I go right to an area, what they told me to do, and find out it is right. I said, oh my God, I did that right. They said, yeah, you did it right. You did it right. We had to be showing you in reverse because you think you know something. You think you know something. We got to show you differently because we again, it's about trust and it's about obedience. Okay, and everything, every book and everything that they've showed me, I share it with you. So again, when you follow you, that's why I said. And if I would have followed somebody else, something else, I wouldn't have been able to really trust my ancestors. But they had me doing things that, again, it felt like an initiation. It feels like an initiation when they be guiding you to do something you're not really sure about it, but you have it's an urgency or compelling in you to do it. And then you going back and forth with them, and they said, "Do it, do it, do it," and then you do it, and you find out it was right. It feels like an initiation. It really does. That's why there's no initiation in hoodoo because you follow nothing but a spirit. You have to stop looking at people and close your mouth and listen. And you got to be willing to they're building your character, you're building discipline, and you're building trust with those spirits because they got to know you're gonna obey them too. When they tell you something, you better listen. Because if you don't listen, the ancestors just stop helping you. How do you feel about burning ancestors' money in hoodoo? Some people say it helps, others say it no. I don't feel no way about it. It depends on how you look at it. Some people say they don't need that, da 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 da. Some people say do it. Depends on, ask your ancestors how they feel about it. Ask them, do they want ancestors' money? People will say anything, but do a divination and ask them what they want. What kind of offering do they want? Do they want money or do they want food? Do the ancestors' money help them over there? Do a divination. They'll tell you. Okay, they got the best answer. Don't listen to these people. People will say anything. Okay, people will say anything, and we're building a relationship with spirit because they can see right through people. I don't want to be talking to no part or nobody if I ain't talking to a spirit because I know that spirit can see right through them. People will they can put on costumes, they can pretend or anything else, but them spirits they see right through people. You got to remember they don't have a body. They communicate through consciousness. So they can see what's on people's minds because that's their energetic frequency that they emit. We can't see what's on their mind, but the ancestors can because they're pure consciousness. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? See, we break this all down for you to understand spirits and how they communicate. I even break that down again. You'll know they're communicating with you. It's funny how they do that. Answers will just start popping in your head out of nowhere. They'll start putting stuff in your head. It don't make sense to you, but they're telling you something, and it's true. This how these spirits talk to you. You have information just pop in your head, just pop in your mind when you're doing the work. You think it's gonna be something spooky. No, it's gonna trip you out. Why you think all those occultists and all those people that's inventors and stuff like that, most of them was communicating with angels and higher intelligence and beings that was providing them with information. And the more you read those books over there, and this is how consciousness work. The more you read these books about spiritual communication, they'll start using this information through your memory and start giving you more insight and information on the topic as you learn it. I promise you. They'll start putting things together with you. But right now, you don't have enough information in your head. There's not enough information you have stored in your computer bank for them to pull from to help you understand how to communicate with them or show you things. You're learning from other people, but when you need to sit down and start looking at these spiritual sciences for yourself. That's how the insight gonna happen. They gonna come with nobody you listening, you know, to everybody. And I have to get on to again to our group over there. You have to read those books. You have to listen to the lecture. The knowledge is not gonna jump in your head. I'm not gonna sit here and preach and shift your consciousness. This is something that you have to willingly do. There is disciplines behind that and obedience behind that. So you can call yourself getting over there and not read anything and not listen to the lecture if you want to. You're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself when you do that. And if you really want to know hoodoo, for me, it was like that for me. I said that time had to change the whole way I did myself. I had to put hoodoo in the middle of my life and arrange my life around hoodoo. Spirit comes first around my ancestors. That's what I did. When I did that, my life got right. That came first. I knew I wanted to learn it. I set time away, an hour or two a day, just to focus on the things that I wanted to learn because that was important to me. If this is something that you want to learn, because you can go at your own pace, it's no rush over there. But if you truly want to learn, you're going to read and digest the material. And if you get over there, the first thing you need to do is go to Ancestor Veneration and study spiritual communication and do the shadow work. I think I'm gonna start putting pop quizzes over there too to um, see how much people know over there. Because my mission over there is to help you gain insight. That's why you got over there. So I'm gonna do the best I can to use my energy to help you. I don't know if practitioners is doing the things that I do. They usually take your money and run, show you something, take your money and run. I don't do that. You have several workshops and opportunities again to support you on gaining a solid hoodoo practice. I do everything in my power. I don't ghost you. I even come up with ways where I can interact with you more, getting you to engage, get your mind going, sharing your thoughts. Because the more you talking, the more you reading, the more you talking about this, the more you're learning. So you're gonna learn, but you got to put in the work, listen to the lectures. It ain't gonna work if you gonna be messing around because them spirits ain't gonna come to you. They see right through you. They see you playing. They know you ain't got nothing going on with your conscience. They see right through you. So there is no sense in you can fool me, but you can't fool them spirits. Okay. And some of you, and it's kind of hard to fool me now. I work with the ancestors. You can try to fool me, but you can't fool them spirits. Absolutely can't fool them because they work with integrity. They have a high frequency. So if you vibrating like that with them, ain't nothing coming to your table. Okay. I'm going to get over there. I'm going to really start diving in this week. I think the pop quiz would help because I signed up for the Know Thyself. Okay, welcome, beloved. I think I'm gonna start doing pop quizzes in there and see how much you know about ancestral veneration. See how much you know about intergenerational trauma, the shadow work, aka ancestors work. See what are you doing for spiritual communication? What type of divination you're using? What tools are you using to communicate with your ancestors? I think those things I'm going to do a pop quiz on that because I don't want you to get over there and just be sitting. This ain't no entertainment. Don't be following me just because you think I'm popular. No, be get over there because the ancestors is using me to give you a tool. Stop looking at me. The ancestors is using me to help you. I wouldn't be here without them, okay? Follow your ancestors. They as mighty as great. Nobody is mighty and more mighty and great than your ancestors. You hear me? Don't be looking at me because they using me. Okay? They just using me to help you. That's what I'm hearing. If I can help you, that's what brings me joy, helping you see the results. Not so much about the money, but I knowing that I'm doing what the ancestors have told me to do. And I'm using that wisdom, passing on to you because there's too many of you that don't have a relationship with your ancestors and they want a relationship with you. They want to help you. But you keep following people and not following them. Okay, these people, I don't care how many people, how popular they is, and they get up here and talk a good game and all that fancy car salesman talk. I don't care what they do. Lance said, say a funky pair of lips will say anything. You better stop listening to them people. You better be looking at us. You are a spirit. You sit up here following the people. You better be following the spirit. You better be following them ancestors. These people still got a third dimensional body, and some of them think on the third dimensional level. And you trying to ascend to the fourth and fifth dimension and shift and manifest and all that stuff, you ain't gonna get it following no person. You gonna get it following your ancestors a spirit and understanding that you are a spirit and you got the power to shift your life and communicate with your ancestors. Okay, I'm not lying to you. I don't care about no initiation. Somebody trying to tell you, and that's one thing too. I'm gonna say this again. I know y'all heard it. I know it's probably getting on your nerves. Get on my nerves too, but I gotta say it. ATR people, when you see hoodoo practitioners doing something, and you feel like it's threatening your religion, just be quiet. Okay, you got to remember, uh, uh, the Orishas is not religious. Okay, these are your ancestors' traditions and calling cards that's built on y'all religion. So when you see us over here doing something, we don't need you coming over here hollering initiation. Because if you see us doing something, obviously our ancestors told us to do it. We're not picking up nothing over. I'm not. I'm not picking up nothing over here without my ancestors telling me to do it. So you got to keep that in your head. Because just like y'all following y'all ancestors doing it, we following our ancestors doing something else. Okay? And hoodoo is not a religion. It is not Christian. I just got over there. I'm going to start that. Okay, I just seen that. Okay, welcome, Quasha. I hope I'm saying your name right, baby. Okay. I know. I feel like they be speaking to through me, sacred goddess, because they'll keep a recurring thought in my head. Say this, say that. I don't even be want to say the stuff. I be say it anyway, because I know people ain't gonna like me. They're gonna be upset. They don't want to hear it and all that stuff. But I say it anyway. Okay, I try to say it in the most loving way as possible and warn you, because I have too many people coming to me confused. Because they done started this spell work, they done started this hoodoo stuff up, and ain't an ancestor insight. They got the spiritual baths and stuff down pat and all that, but an ancestor insight ain't talked to no ancestors, got all these goals and dreams and all this stuff, and ain't an ancestor insight. Ain't said nothing about no ancestor. And you need to know yourself. You need to break that down. See how you need to raise your frequency when you start looking at your family tree. Now, in the know thyself course, we getting ready to um, know thyself members. We're getting ready to jump into inner child work, because that's where your magic gonna be. Okay, we're getting to dive deep in there. We're gonna talk about feelings. We're gonna talk about emotional regulation. We're gonna talk about that. We go deep over there. We don't go surface level. And nobody just come over here showing you no spells and stuff and tell you to do this and go on your way. No, we don't do that over there. We help you thoroughly understand the spiritual science of hoodoo. When you gonna know. Okay, I want you to know. I don't want you guessing about nothing. I want you to know. Somebody out there got you thinking this is a faith based thing. This is just a faith based thing. No, it is a science. If you do the work, you will see shift in results in hoodoo. That's simple. And it first start with the ancestors. Okay, you can't have nothing over here without it. I just automatically thought you guys knew that, but I don't think so. Because too many people up here is showing stuff and they ain't talking about no ancestors and they ain't talking about healing. And you come up and you get in their class and you can't do certain work and they gonna tell you, well, you're gonna have to get that. Now that baby need to start all the way back over and have time to sit down somewhere and heal. They ain't even supposed to be picking it up. Stop showing them stuff without helping them heal. All that stuff that happened to y'all, and you want to be picking up stuff, and you don't think you're gonna have blocks and stuff. Yes, you're gonna have blocks, baby, because some stuff happened to you. It ain't your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal it. Hello, Royal Goddess. It is your responsibility. You inherited that, just like you inherited that powerful hoodoo from your ancestors. You also inherited that trauma that they was up under when they made hoodoo. So again, you got to move some of that stuff out and contact elevated ancestors. I'm gonna keep saying this. I'm keep saying because people ain't talking about it enough. They not. The ancestors come first before anything. They got specific prayers where they honor and venerate the ancestors and hold up the ancestors and elevate the ancestors in a lot of these ATRs. Praise be the ancestors, mighty and great. We stand in power. We stand on their shoulders. Had it not be for the ancestors, we would not be here today. Had they not survived, had they not fought, we would not be here today. Wouldn't even be here. Wouldn't even know nothing about hoodoo. What you mean? Our ancestors, I think people think just because they practice hoodoo, they didn't believe in God. That is false. They know God is in everything. God is in everything. Consciousness is in everything. They believed in God. It doesn't mean they didn't believe in the Most High. They didn't believe in God. They believed in God. They just knew how to work with spirits because they knew God was a spirit. They knew everything was consciousness. When you think of a spirit, you're looking at a consciousness, an energetic consciousness. That's what happens when we separate from this body. You are not this body. Get that out your head. You're a spirit. That's what's making a fool out of you, right there. Because you walk around here thinking you're a person. You ain't no person. You're a spirit. It's temporary. You're gonna leave this body. It's nothing but a shell, a house that your spirit move around in. That's all it is. They believe if they didn't believe in God, they wouldn't be able to do hoodoo. Okay, we broke that down in animism. The way they knew spirits lived in plants. They knew everything was alive. They had these spirits. They was conjuring with these spirits. Again, they were talking to trees. They were talking to plants. They was using them spirits in their work along with their ancestors. That's how that worked. They used the natural elements around them, the ethers. They knew how to work with things. I broke that all the way down on that. If you haven't seen that, if you're over there in our community, go back and look at animism. Go back and look at the African cosmology, because again, we talked about their cosmology. We even talked about the Bantu and Congo. Looking at that cosmology, we look at a variety of African diaspora spiritual systems over there, and I think that's what's missing in hoodoo, because people like to keep it like it's Christian, and it's not. We have to remember there are heavy indigenous elements in hoodoo. So we have to go back and look at those African spiritual systems that are among diaspora. So we look at Umbanda. So when we look at Umbanda, is a very interesting one to me. It is the most interesting religion. And Puerto Rican magic and espiritismo is interesting to me because we do the same thing in hoodoo. We set up a table, we start putting out water and offers and stuff to these spirits and start trying to build relationships with them. In Umbanda, when they began to, because they went there, and of course it was outlawed for them for their spiritual practice or to practice spiritism. So, and we're getting ready to cover him again. I'm gonna talk about it again because I posted this before, but I don't know if y'all looking at the information. That's why I'm gonna start pulling up pop quiz for y'all to see how much you're gaining, see how much you're learning. But when they came, spiritism made it to Brazil, when it made it to Brazil, you had people there. Again, they had their ancestors' knowledge with them, but they could not participate in some of the rituals, the sacrifice rituals. So a new system came on the rise. There it was the spiritism renaissance. So now you have these pale color people. Again, they're perfecting their spiritual communication, even though we know how to do it. They came into Brazil, and spiritism got introduced to that culture over there, to our ancestors that were among African diaspora. And so what they did is they start practicing spiritism to talk to their ancestors and talk to the Orishas. Yes. They start practicing mediumship. Over in Abanda, they practice mediumship and talking to the Orishas. I'm telling you what they do now. They went so far, even though they do not have an Odu and they didn't have that knowledge with them. You know what they did? They start organizes the tarot cards in a way where they can talk to the Orisha through the tarot cards. This is in Umbanda. There's still people among the diaspora that still practice the religion in solitary. They do it alone. Some of them still practice it. They still practice religion by themselves, some of them. So you ain't gonna know that because somebody teaching you something from their perspective. But over there, we show it all to you because your spiritual journey is limitless. This limitless. Because when you get with those ancestors, there's no telling how they're gonna guide you and what spirits are in your court. And we talked about that in Abanda too when we talked about Lamadamas. People think a Lamadama is like an outside spirit or whatever. No, the Lamadamas are in your spiritual court. You already got Congo spirits in your spiritual court. She is that old black grandma that's in there, that big mama that's in your spiritual court. Usually the Lamadamas is there, but you're not going to know they're there if you don't talk to your ancestors and see if you have a Lamadama there. And there's different types of Lamadamas. We break that all down. We talk about those Congo spirits. We talk about all that because again, they are connected to our ancestors. And there's some of them are in hoodoo. And so you're looking at hoodoo again from an isolated perspective when our ancestors didn't have a lot of this knowledge. Now that we have this knowledge and all this other stuff, hoodoo becomes, and conjure becomes so vast. You understand how some of these spirits got into hoodoo, and one of them is Lamadama. Okay. And we get a chance to really see who they are. And then we just go on and on. You probably want to catch that lecture. You probably want to look at that. But see, you don't know that because people are talking to you from their perspective, what they've been told. But here we have, over there, we have open lectures and discussions, and we provide you with resources. You make your own decisions. You talk to your own ancestors, and you move from there. I'm not trying to control you. It ain't nothing like them trying to help you figure your practice out. Okay, that's what we do. We try to help you, support you in your practice, give you options more than anything. Help you communicate with your ancestors, get that together, because that magic gonna come later. They're gonna show you stuff later. That's a byproduct with ancestors. That's not even important. That magic, all that stuff, that's not even important. Not right now. Not when you just beginning. You need to just leave that stuff alone and get right with your ancestors and start telling them about your life and start having them fix your life and start doing the changes, looking at yourself and seeing where you need to shift and do those shifts. So again, you can see you start getting an alignment. So when you do your magic, it will work because you're in alignment with it. Okay. I hope this making sense to you. Yes, that's true. I know they do. What tier would you recommend for someone starting out? If you're just starting out and depend on how much you want to know, I would recommend the Know Thyself tier because again, you get so many benefits. You got me there. We got group meetings and healing circles to help you do the shadow work. You get a chance to get all the lectures. You learn about conjure. You learn about root work. You get everything over there with the Know Thyself thing. If you want to know everything from the top to the bottom, get to Know Thyself. But if you're in the conjure, if you had you got your practice going, and you got ancestor veneration going, and you want to work with other spirits, then that's the conjure membership. That's if you've already mastered, you got that together. You don't want to learn nothing but how to set up a table and work with other spirits. That's for conjure. Okay. For the ritual member, those are the ones that are just beginning. They're just beginning. They have did the shadow work. They have did the ancestral veneration, but now they want to know more about ritual. And we instantly start teaching them again how to work with angels and saints. Okay. We really focus on rituals over there, how to set up tables, how to communicate with angels, saints, just a lot of those ancestral spirits and cool spirits. I'm gonna say it that way. Okay, and that's for people that want to perfect ritual, trying to elevate their ritual, elevate their ancestors. They're usually going to ritual. Know more about that. Conjure is for the big steppers. They perfected the ritual. They know how to work with their ancestors. They work with saints. They work with angels. Now they want to work with more spirits. They want to work directly with more spirits. And that's what we focus on there, giving you information, guidebooks, and all that stuff to work with spirits. Know thyself is all of it. Okay. The Know Thyself membership is everything. Okay. And again, going on our first tarot workshop. Our last, well, I say it's last, but I think I'm gonna have to do this tarot card workshop again, depending on how comfortable people are with their tarot readings and how comfortable they are with tarot. I might have to make this an ongoing thing once a month for us to practice tarot, because I know divination is important, and I know tarot. And so since I know it, I don't mind practicing, having practice sessions with you guys. So again, we have another practice session coming up at the end of this month. Okay. So again, I don't know, and I'm not trying to, toot my own horn here. I don't know a practitioner is doing what I'm doing. Just supporting the way I support. It's not many of them out there doing. They doing a smash and grab. They getting their money and they running, and not being present here. But this my thing. I love it. This my element. This is what I do. So I know it. I know it very well. Okay, I know it. I have experience with it, so it's effortless for me to talk about it because I love it so much. It saved my life. So I don't have a problem showing up, supporting you on your journey. I could talk about hoodoo from the rooter to the tutor because I have experience. I'm not gonna just show you. It ain't gonna do me no good to show you no spells or give you no Bible verses or any of that if you ain't got that ancestor veneration together. And most of all, really, you need to be understanding those songs for yourself, because somebody else can give you a psalm and you may not, they telling you it's for this, and then when you read it you feel like when you read it it has nothing to do with what you got going on. So again, these verses have to, these psalms and in the Bible scripture, it's important that they resonate with what you're doing. Okay, because somebody else may see that scripture from another perspective, and then you look at it and you be like, wait, to me this don't have nothing to do with that. And then you have to find a scripture that resonates with you, because it has to be able to move you. You got to be able to feel it to get your work moving. Okay. So again, it's more important that you interpret the scripture for yourself, so it'll have more meaning for you and your work. I hope that made sense. It's not many that allow on here. Uh-huh. But Blackberry said it's not many they allow on here. What that mean? Who don't allow that on there? Okay. What do they mean when the lights keep blinking? A lot of places I go now. I would do a divination on that. If you haven't did a divination on that, I would do a divination on that. This is the second or third time that it's happened. Apparently the spirit is trying to get your attention on something. So if you don't have a divination going on, you probably need to do a divination. Okay, guys, I think that's the second or third time you have mentioned that. So I would do a divination and find out what's going on. Is it your ancestors? Is it something they're trying to tell you? What is it that you need to do? Do a divination. What do I need to know about these blinking lights? Do a divination. Do a tarot card reading. But it can mean a variety of things. That to me right now, you say it's blinking. They trying to get your attention. Something that you needed to pay attention to. Yeah, quite. Yep, occult knowledge. Now, occult knowledge, you'll get a lot of resources. This is for people, they just want to learn right now. They just want to read right now. They're not ready to go out there and really take the leap right now. They just want to learn and take things in before they start setting up an altar, start doing the rituals or anything like that. They just want to learn. That membership is specifically people that just want to read. You won't get any lectures with that, but you'll get a variety of books and resources and articles to read. And that's the occult membership, and that's $5. The ritual is 10. I think the conjure is 20, and then the know thyself is 33. So all of them are affordable. Every last one of them is affordable compared to, you know, compared to some of these sites where you learn hoodoo. Some of them charging hundreds of dollars, and you're just getting nothing but a whole bunch of spells. You're not getting a full foundation of hoodoo. You're not even getting the services. You're not getting the shadow work support. Not getting any of that. You just learn a whole bunch of spells. Okay. Okay, go upgrade, question. We'll be happy to have you. It's just too many resources that we provide over there. Okay, you get a free healing group circle, which I'm very experienced in that. I did a lot of life coaching, spiritual counseling in that area. Helped a lot of people in that area. So I know what I'm doing because I had to heal myself. I've learned, I've sat in healing circles, I've done this. I know what I'm doing. I gotta say that I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't know what I'm doing. Okay. Do each tier. I'm gonna start with know thyself. I think that know thyself, you get all information, all lectures with that. Okay. You're not gonna get that in the occult. They get a different thing because they don't get the lectures. Okay, with rituals, you're only going to get things to work with the angels, work with the saints, work with your ancestors. Um, you're going to get that. Okay, when you get over there and conjure, people that's been in the conjure, that means you perfected the ritual. You know how to do all the rituals now. You the big dog now. You want to work with the spirits. You've done your shadow work. You know how to do all that stuff, and now you're ready to move on and work with these other spirits. That's conjure. Know thyself and say, hey, I want to know everything. I want to heal. I want to do all that stuff. I want help with assistant, with healing. I want to know the work. I want to know the rituals. I want it all. That's to know thyself. Okay. The other ones are more isolated in specific things. Know thyself is everything from the top to the bottom. Okay. You're going to get conjure stuff. You're going to get ritual stuff. You're going to get that. The occult stuff. You're going to get all of it. Okay. And to know thyself. Now the ritual and the conjure is different because it's isolated because these people have chosen to learn specific things in their practice. I hope that made sense. Okay. So, but ancestral veneration is important because there's no sense in you trying to go work with Oshun or work with any of these deities, and you haven't your ancestors haven't showed you how to communicate with spirit. You haven't perfected mediumship with your ancestors. That has to be done first. The first form of mediumship and talking to spirits will be with your ancestors. You won't be wandering. Your divination to be together and everything. So next, when you set up your table and start talking with these spirits or whatever, you'll have it together because you have that experience from communicating with your ancestors. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? The community will not disappoint. I started with Know Thyself, and I'm so mesmerized on the wealth of information. Y'all don't sleep on this information. Go join. You will not be disappointed. That's Kathy Harris said that. It's too much information. Okay. And you will learn the spells in these books or whatever. When you read the books, you'll start crafting your own spells. Your ancestors start showing you, hey, I want you to put this with that and do this. That's why I don't give you your spells because I know your ancestors gonna show you something different. Your intuition, you're gonna start putting stuff together. You're gonna be surprised. And that's what needs to happen. That's what need to happen. Don't nobody you need to trust your ancestors, start putting stuff together themselves. I don't mind if you come together and you come get me and you say, Miss Penny, my ancestors told me to put this together and put this together. What you think? You know what I'm gonna tell you? You know what I'm gonna tell you? If your ancestors say do it, that's what you do. That's what you do. If your ancestors told you to do that, I don't question that. It don't have to make sense to me. I don't have to make sense to you and your ancestors. That's what needs to happen there, because the journey is with your ancestors trusting you, not no person, not me. Don't be trusting me. I'm here to help you trust your ancestors. Okay? They know better than me. They see stuff I can't see. Okay? So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you back to your elders every time. Because I want you to know that. I want you to trust that. Stop looking at these folks. Okay, these folks say anything. Your ancestors gonna tell you the truth, even when it hurt. And sometimes it's gonna hurt. You get somewhere and cry somewhere. They still love you. They know you got a problem. They'll deal with you. They love you unconditionally. They'll forgive you when nobody else will. But you gotta learn how to say when they tell you no and get somewhere and sit down and shut up. Do that. They trying to help you. Okay? And sometimes they don't always say yes to the things we want. Again, you gain more and these people too. And we was reading that in our lecture, and that Alan Kardec book. And I'm glad he said, and I say this all the time. He said the people that have these names and stuff like that in this physical realm, some of them pass over and they are low ranking in the spirit world. That title don't come with them when they cross over. He said the people that don't have these titles, they are high ranking in the spirit realm. That's why I asked them when people go telling me about initiation and stuff though, how you ranking in that spirit world though? I don't give a damn about your initiation. How you ranking in that spirit world though? That don't mean nothing when you get over there. I'm telling you. You see some of the people you think that because they ain't got no title and they ain't fancy and all that, them people be high ranking in the spirit world, they open their mouth and they move something. So don't you ever get that twisted. I'm telling you now. And them spirits that told me that so much time. I said, but I ain't doing this. And I ain't doing I have fussed with my ancestors about that. I ain't doing this and I ain't and they initiate and all that. They said that's not how it work in the spirit world. Over here you high ranking. I said, what? Yeah, over here you high ranking. We don't care about that initiation. Over here, when we talk about you, you're high ranking. I know you don't see it in that world, but over here on this side, we see you totally different. Don't you let them initiations fool you, honey. And I done told you, I can show you with my own big beautiful eye. They done broke that all the way down in the spiritual realm. They say when them people cross over like that, they do not take those titles with them. If you have not did the work in this world, you ain't got no for the spiritual realm. You ain't got no ranking over there. And nobody, they ain't none of that shit. They don't come with you. You better get it right here. So when you get over there, you high ranking. No matter what these people think here, what it matters over there is how you ranking in that spirit world. When you open your mouth, do stuff move. I don't care about your title. Your title don't make nothing move. It make these people move here, but it don't make nothing move in the spiritual realm. It impress the people here, but it don't impress them people. It don't impress the spiritual realm. You better know what you're doing. Okay, you need to know about the spirit world and know about spirit because you are a spirit. So get that out your mind trying to follow these people in these three-dimensional bodies with these funky pair of lips saying anything. Okay, all right. I hope that's helping you. And I don't want to see it. It's just a shame. It melts my heart every time I see y'all confused and somebody that took your money, then told you need initiation. You confused around here. You got spiritual trauma because these folks that made a fool out of you. You done jumped in this group, that group, that group. They drop you like a hot potato. Some of these practitioners, they'll drop you like a hot potato to go chase some more money. They don't even care about the souls that they got in their hand that the ancestors is trying to have them serve, and they can deepen they pray. They don't care about that. They running, they chasing money. They don't care about your spirit. They don't care. They don't care. Some of them. I'm not saying all of them like that, but some of them are like that. And some of y'all chasing fame. You chasing that's what you're doing. It ain't your fault. I'm not blaming you because that's how they got our minds sick on that. Okay? But you get yourself over there, I'm gonna help you as much as I can. I mean that with everything. I do. We had a situation the other day in the live stream thing, and I'm gonna talk about it. And I was under the impression that everyone one who requested the book review read the book, but that was not so. And so there was a young lady that came up in there, and and she hadn't read the book, and so I removed her out of there. And then to bring other people in there, they hadn't read the book either. I was like, now what is this going on? I kind of feel bad after exiting her to exit. But moving on, I'm just gonna move on and move on. But she reached out to me, and she let me know how that felt. And I'm not an egotistical person. The first thing I did, when I opened my mouth to her, I said, please forgive me. It is not my intention to isolate you and make you feel unwanted ever. Your voice matters, you matters. There was a mistake, lack of clarity that I'm going to fix and improve. Again, I believe in taking accountability and responsibility. If I drop the ball somewhere, I'm going to say that. I don't have a problem with that. Make a mistake. Nobody is perfect. I am not perfect. No one is perfect. And I love that about myself because I can hold myself accountable, make the shift and changes. Again, and I'm, you know, a lot of that stuff, I see so much shifts and changes in me. And being open to my community. Okay. You matter. All right. Not gonna no not gonna dismiss you or anything like that. I'm going to I listen. I listen to her, and the exchange, I felt like I was glad that she told me how she felt, and that I could respond in a way that would make her feel safe and give her more comfort that that was not my intentions, that she matters in this community. So everybody, your voice, your thoughts, they matter in that community. Okay. So again, have you sharing your thoughts, having you learning the ancestor veneration, spiritual communication. Get ready to do that shadow work. Get ready to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. Get ready to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet, and start watching your life change. It's gonna require you to do some work. Okay. Now I think I've talked enough about that. Did anybody have any questions before I move on to another discussion? But I had to talk on that. I have to talk on that. This is so much confirmation. I'm glad it's confirmational for you, Sacred Goddess 7. But if you have any questions about ancestor veneration, spiritual communication, shadow work, all of them goes together. That's the Trinity. That's the first. Just think of that as the Hoodoo first Trinity. They come together. Ancestor veneration, spiritual communication, shadow work. That's the Trinity. You got to have those two. Those are your very foundations that you need on your practice. I have broken this down to a science to you. I do apologize that other practitioners are not coming here breaking it down to you like this. But please, if you want to see results in your magic, in your work, do this first. Do this first. Okay? You're going to see some results if you do it first. Don't put the cart, what they say, don't put the cart before the horse. Don't do that because you're only going to be crossing yourself up, and you're going to be confused. Okay? One of the things that we covered today in our conjure members that got this, some of the rituals got it too, but the conjure, they always get a guide to work with these spirits. We covered the Black Madonna, and that was a very interesting lecture. We covered the Black Madonna. We're going to talk about Black Madonna today. You might find yourself working with her at conjure. You might find yourself working with her in the ritual tier too, because again, she'll be among the saints. Okay, but again, the Black Madonna is a that is work with. She is a spirit that's worked with to and conjured. The Black Madonna is most often depicted as a dark-skinned Virgin Mary cradling the child Christ. In Hoodoo, her image is not seen as foreign but akin. And so again, when you start looking at Black Madonna, you start looking at her again. Some of these goddesses and stuff start looking like saints. I mean, they start looking like ancestors. And when you start looking at Black Madonna, you can trace her back to the first mother. Okay. Her blackness speaks to the struggles of African descendants, to a people who carried faith through slavery, segregation, generations of oppression. Just as the Black Madonna is often associated with hidden caves, dark sanctuaries, mysterious origins, she embodies the hidden power within suffering, the treasure buried in hardship, and the strength that emerges through survival. Okay, in Hoodoo, she is used for protection, healing, strength in adversity. You can use her in justice work and legal work as well. Some root workers keep her image on their altar beside candles, rosaries, offerings like water, milk, honey, and flowers. Okay, so you can work with this again, this archetype or spirit as well. They've been working with her for years. You see the Pope bow down and pray to her. The Black Mary, the Black Madonna. They cannot get rid of her. They've tried. If they can get that up out of there, hun, them folks would have tried to do that. But hun, them people been venerating her from since the beginning of time, so they can't get that out of there because that's the root to all their religion. They can't get rid of her. Their religion wouldn't exist without her. Okay, just as psalms are used in Hoodoo prayers, such as the rosary, can be adapted to honor her. Those rosaries can be very powerful too. You got some people in Catholic Church, honey. They use their rosary. I'm telling you, got a lot of these folk, these old women that's bent over with these rosaries. Then the most powerful witches you can ever know. You don't want to come up against them old women with them rosaries in them churches. You hear me? They can work a rosary on you, honey. I'm telling you. You think of them old women, they got them rosaries. Them women right there got power. They the most powerful witches you will ever see. Okay? When they get to working their roses, some of them, they know that. Some of them know that. You don't even want them to bend a knee and start grabbing that rosary and start praying. And some of them can move some stuff with that. So if that's something that you want to practice in your workings, I would recommend that because these the rosary again, they got psychic power. These chants do. They have psychic power to move stuff for you. Many replace traditional lines with affirmation like "Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, the children of the world." The Black Madonna is not a distant figure, but a mother who feels the cries of her children. She is drawn to sincerity, devotion, and justice. So again, when you work with some of these spirits, you can't come to them raggedy. Okay, you can't come to them raggedy. That's why your stuff be elevated. That's why I understand how come how people want to be doing hicks and curses and stuff all the time. Because some of these spirits, they don't want to be messing with you if you ain't justified in your work. You're going to cross yourself up with them or they're going to stop working with you. That's why you don't put no mess and people that's lying and stuff don't do no work for them spirits going to get mad at you. And that's why it's good to do a divination before you even start to do any kind of work. Just because somebody made you mad don't mean you go put them in the pot. You go ask your ancestors first. They might tell you to pray for them people. People might need prayer. Ancestors probably going to use your mouth to heal their life. But you ain't going to know that if you don't go to them first. Okay? She likes heartfelt prayers, offerings of food, especially bread, milk, and fruit, candles, and acts of compassion towards others. She dislikes hypocrisy, exploitation, and the abuse of the vulnerable. In conjure, sincerity is everything. Working with her means approaching her with honesty, humility, and respect. You better be cross. Again, these spirits looking at you. They look at character. That's what they be doing, girl. They been talking about putting folks in the ground and putting people in the pot and jacking folks up. I mean, that's the first thing they do. And honey, I did that one time to my ancestors. They looked at me. They said, "You better not do that. Don't do that. That's not what we want." I said, "What do I do then?" Because that person getting on my nerve. They say, "Pray for them," because them people life is all jacked up. They need help. Ain't nobody praying for them. Them people need some help. Them people is all jacked up over there, and they need somebody helping them. They don't need nobody hurting them. They in a bind right now. You need to pray for them. Pray for them about a week. Honey, pray for that person about a week. Honey, they got a new job and everything. They was out of my hair. See, what you think is the solution don't always be the solution. The ancestor has something totally different for you, but you don't know that. And you putting hexes on other people. You don't know who them ancestors is. You don't know what they going through. You don't know what spirits working with them. You don't know how your ancestors gonna use you as an angel to help them shift some stuff in their life. Sometimes the ancestors will use you to help somebody. They don't even know you helping them. But this to build your character. It's for your own spiritual evolution. But see, you ain't gonna know that if you get mad and doing stuff and not taking the proper spiritual guidance. Crossing yourself up, putting people in pots don't need to be in there. Got spirits mad at you. You don't even know mad at you. Because them elevated ancestors are not gonna have you doing that kind of work. They only do things, they only gonna support you in justice work. They're not gonna be helping you. So if you're doing some hexing stuff, that means you using some lower vibrational frequency energy you have opened yourself up to. Especially if you ain't asked your ancestors because you did it. You just did it because you want to do because they made you mad. You open yourself up to be inhabited by lower frequencies when you do that. Keep on playing out there if you want to. You can keep playing with this and keep they thinking it's some type of play pretty and keep following people and doing what they tell you to do without talking to your ancestors. You're gonna do nothing but cross yourself up and get more confused. That's all you're gonna do. You're gonna be confused as hell. And you open yourself up to these spirits and now you confused because you done did a hex work and all this kind of stuff. You thought you was hurting them, but hell, you crossed yourself up in at the same time trying to do something to somebody else. I'm just telling you. Better stop doing defense magic and all that stuff without asking your ancestors, because that's probably not what you need. Just because somebody telling you to do this don't mean you should do it. A lot of people voted for that man, but we knew it wasn't right. Just because everybody doing don't mean it's right. It don't mean it's right. Okay? Hope you understand that. Hope you understand it. Follow your ancestors. Stop following these people. These three-dimensional people are they are flawed. You got to have that in your mind. Okay, these people is flawed. And I don't even want you looking at, I try to get you stop looking at me and start looking at your ancestors. Nah, I'm only a product of my ancestors. I'm only a messenger. That's all I am. Stop looking at me. I got my own stuff to deal with too. You need to be looking at them ancestors and looking at you. Don't be looking at me. I'm not important here. The message is more important to me. The ancestors are more important to me. I'm beat that in your head so you understand that. Okay? Because these people been fooling us. That's what's got us in trouble. People been around here masquerading, exploiting us, wearing masks and fake folks and all that kind of stuff. We following people and not spirit. And that's the problem. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know it don't feel good. I know what I'm saying. Don't feel good. Sometimes some medicine don't feel good before you feel better. It tastes nasty until it can start working in the body and you feel better. Don't All medicine don't taste good. Okay, and then you put it in your body and it go to working and then your body start healing. But that medicine was nasty at first until you put it in the body. Okay, so I know you don't like what I'm saying. You're probably not supposed to. It's supposed to trigger you to get you to thinking, probably. Okay. Yeah, I want the best. I want the best for you. I really do. I don't know what them other people. They probably just want some money for you. Have you confused, and then you got to go hire them people to do something for you. They done told you to do, and I bet. And I got to look at them. I bet they talking to their ancestors. I bet they got a table set up where they communicate with them spirits before they do anything. And then they come out here and tell you to do it. But you best believe they done got some guidance. They didn't talk to a spirit before they even done that kind of work. Matter of fact, they learned to do the work from that spirit. That's their magic. Okay? It's got their signature on it. Then you pick it up and try to do it. It ain't gonna work because it's their signature on it. It ain't your magic. It ain't nothing your ancestors taught you. Every magic has its own fingerprints. Everybody got their own type of magic. It's not gonna look it's not supposed to look exactly the same. It'll be similar, but it'll be something a little different. And each magic, it don't be wrong, it be right. Okay, so it's not supposed to look the same. Everybody doing the same thing. You know, you got everybody at the first of the month blowing cinnamon out their door. We got cloves, we got allspice, we got chamomile, we got five finger grass, we got so many money herbs. We got ginger, we got all this stuff. But now everybody is taking cinnamon, blowing it in the front door. Out of all these powerful herbs that we got for money, everybody using cinnamon. And they ancestors ain't told them to do it. Ancestors probably want you working with cloves or allspice. That's probably what they work with. But now you're gonna go follow somebody else and do that. And some of that's working for you, some of that is not. How you know they want you brewing it in the front door? Maybe they want you to make a pot and put that in there and boil it. Maybe they want you to make a floor wash and wash your floor with. Maybe they want you to burn it as incense and burn it in the house. They about don't want you to do that. Maybe they want you to do a different kind of magic with it. But again, if you following people not following your ancestors, a girl that came from, I think that came from one social media. I know I really seen it a lot on TikTok. That's where I seen it. Yeah, Green Mama Source said, yeah, where did that come from? It got popularized on social media. Now you see it first of the month, people blowing that out their door. I said, it's so many more ways to do that. And y'all ain't even ask y'all ancestors, y'all could y'all do that? A lot of y'all doing this stuff and they ain't got no relationship with your ancestors. And then you wonder why things are not going smooth the way you want them to. You better stop doing that and start learning that the hoodoo is ancestral. Who magic and hoodoo is ancestral magic. That's why we talk to our ancestors. It is bloodline magic. It is ancestral magic. That is why you go to your ancestors and you ask them how to put things together. You know, you once you learn that cinnamon is good for money, allspice is good for money. Now you know how to kind of put some things together and talk to your ancestors on how you should put it together. That's how that works. They might have you to put it together totally different from what you see. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. And it'd be simple too. It'd be simple stuff that they have you doing, and it work. Stuff right in your kitchen. Plain salt. They have you using some salt in a different kind of way. They'll have you using some sugar, just simple stuff in your kitchen. That spell you seen, they probably telling you to get all kinds of exotic herbs. And the ancestors may tell you, you don't need that. Go get this, go get that, put this together like that, and you get the same results. That's why I tell people you read the books to give you a type of format for your magic. But when you do, before you do the magic, ask your ancestors how they want you to move forward with doing it. Because sometimes they be totally different from what you're seeing. You think you got to go out here and buy all this other stuff, and ancestors show you another way to get it done. But you ain't gonna know that if you ain't got no ancestral communication going on. Okay. And again, we just reviewed the Black Madonna over there. Um, if that is a spirit that you're wanting to work with, and again, your table got to be right. Most of the spirits that we have you working with over there in the ritual members, it's always going to be spirits that are beneficial to you and to aid you in your healing. That's why we got you working with angels. That's why we got you working with your most elevated ancestors. Because once you start working with these energies, your thinking is going to change. Your emotions are going to you're going to be better to. Oh, thank you. Who is this? Money B. Thank you, Money Beauty Wellness. Thank you. Uh, again, once you start working with these angels, these saints, and some of these elevated deities, again, they're going to change the way you think, and that's what we need. We need your healing and all that to go as smooth as possible so you can make these shifts and changes so you can get into your magic. It accelerates your healing. It accelerates your shadow work. You're able to download and process information a lot better. when you got these angels helping you, when you got these your elevated ancestors helping you, they got these saints helping you. You can start moving out that stuff, and again, your healing just goes a lot smoother. You make so much progress. I love to see how much, and you think you got a long ways to go, but what happened over there? Somebody mentioned this. I like the way she said that. We had a member over there. I forgot her name. I can't even remember her name, God. But we was in a meeting, and we were talking about healing and all of that. And she said, "Well, Miss Penny, can I quantum what she said, can she quantum jump in her healing?" I said, "I think that's possible." That's why if you work with angels, you probably feel yourself do a quantum jump in your healing and move a lot of that stuff out if you're consistent with your rituals. That's possible. I'm not gonna say it ain't possible. Because them angels got a way of coming in there helping you move stuff out and helping you transmute a lot of that stuff out of there. So I'm not gonna say it ain't possible. You get in there and you start moving stuff around and your whole damn life shift. It scare you sometimes. And you be like, oh my God, that's all I had to do. Yeah, that's all you had to do is heal and get in alignment. Now you got to figure out what kind of work you want to do. Cause now the ancestors can fix your life. Now you got to figure out. Now you got to come up with some type of magic to do. Cause now your life fixed. That's how it be, you guys. Okay? Alignment just makes it easier. A lot of our ancestors didn't have to do a lot of magic because they stayed in alignment. They was working on themselves all the time. A lot of them didn't have to do a lot of workings like that. Some of them did workings around the seasons. They would use the season to do certain kind of work. They would use the moon to do certain kind of work. It just all depending on what they got on. But a lot of them didn't have to do a lot of workings the way some of us are doing it now because they were in alignment. Okay, people had more discipline, uh, more self-awareness. We didn't have social media and all that stuff then. So folks didn't have nothing but time to sit and sit with theyself. They out there chopping wood and making stuff and making quilts and all that stuff, conversating with each other, spending a lot of time in church. They didn't have time. They couldn't do nothing but look at themselves. They didn't have no a whole bunch of distractions. So it was easy for them to stay in alignment. They was close to nature, and they seen God in trees and plants and everything. So they stayed in alignment. They wasn't disconnected at all. They didn't have no social media to distract them. Thank you so much, Money Wellness. Thank you so much. Appreciate you engaging and being here. Okay. They didn't have all these distractions now. Now you're gonna have to learn how to get yourself off social media and dedicate time to your altar and your ancestors. All that is discipline. Them spirits see you too. They honor that too. It helps your ranking in the spiritual realm. It helps your ranking. The more you comprehend, the more you rank in the spiritual realm, the more access you have in the spirit. But if you're around here playing and you think you tricking the spirit, I'm laughing at you because ain't nowhere in the hell you can trick a spirit. They see right through you. Because ain't nothing gonna be shaking and moving if you ain't doing the right thing. That's the only way it's gonna happen. That's why it ain't no initiation in hoodoo. Because you're gonna stand still as long you're gonna be still as long as you stand still. You're gonna be confused and everything. People showing you stuff and it ain't working, it ain't working, it ain't working. Oh, I gotta do this. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna have this hoodoo practitioner to teach me. Or I'm gonna go over here. I think they magic is better. Yeah, they magic work because they in contact with their ancestors. Hopefully, ain't nobody out here tapping using no magic without no spiritual allies. I'm telling you that now. And I can show you that when you learn the science of magic, really learn the science and really not go by what nobody telling you. You sitting down reading these occult books for yourself and seeing how magic work for itself. You will see that for yourself. Ain't nobody doing no magic without no spiritual help. You're doing something spiritual, so why wouldn't you think you need spiritual allies? I'm breaking it down for you to help you understand. Good for you not to touch that. If you ain't got no spiritual allies, you need to leave that alone. You don't know what you're doing. You don't understand the spiritual science. You don't understand magic. You don't understand the unseen sciences, the science of the ethers, the science of the unseen. You don't know that. Okay. Again, that's all right. If you don't know it, we're gonna thoroughly break it down for you to help you understand. We got all the resources over there so you can look at that stuff. And you're gonna have to sit down and read and stop looking at people. You got to know something for yourself because people will lie. That's why I give you the lecture. That's why I give you the book. And sometimes I take you right there in that book so you can see it yourself. So you ain't got no excuses and say, "Oh, I didn't know." You telling the story. You knew because I sat there and showed you. If you want to do something crazy, you want to do that on your own because you know darn well you shouldn't be doing it. We just showed you. Don't do that. Okay. I'm trying to help you. Some of these people they do not know the spiritual signs. They just know hoodoo magic. That's all they know. They do not. They have not studied no occult books. They have not sat down and studied the African spiritual systems among diaspora. They are stuck on one thing. They surface level on this. No, because of who I am and the way I'm built up, neurodivergent, I go to the root of things. I'm gonna show you where it come from, how it got in there, how it worked. It's the only way you're gonna understand it. I don't care what nobody is showing you. If you don't understand how magic work, you ain't gonna get it. Ain't gonna shake and move. And some of y'all is like that. You're doing stuff and you don't even understand how it work. You want it to work, but you understand how it work. Okay, but you're gonna have some discipline over here. I don't care what you see and what people showing you. You can just wake up tomorrow and start doing spells. No, you better not. You don't know if it's an alignment. You don't know if that's what your ancestors want you to do. Because different spells, again, it's have to be aligned with these natural energies for you to see results. So timing matters. We getting ready to dive deeper into astrology. So um to show people the astrology, how our ancestors was using that almanac and going into the Bible showing them this. Okay, and how our ancestors used the almanac uh, for alignment work. You know what I'm saying? To do their work, they align their work up with the energies in astrology so they can get results. You got. I knew one woman. She only worked with Saturn. She only worked with the archangel Cassiel. And then me, Saturn moves slow, so that means your work might move slow. That's how I look at it. But because she had a good relationship with Cassiel, she was able to do work that I probably wouldn't be able to do. But this angel showed her how to use Saturn to get her work done. That's what happens when you go over here and start developing relationship with angels and ancestors and saints. They start showing you stuff that you ain't read in the book. The book is giving you a familiar of the characteristic and how these things work, but you're really not going to learn until you start having these experiences. And that's what most of these people that practice magic do. Again, they got their own grimoire, they got their own magic book because these spirits then showed them how to do the work. They have showed them things that other people don't know, and that's usually what happens. Okay. The Black Madonna is in Hoodoo is not simply a borrowed Catholic image, but a living, breathing spirit of resilience, hidden power, and motherly care. She walks with those who suffer and strengthens those who fight for freedom. To work with her in Conjure is to honor the Black Mother energy that has carried generations through hardships while revealing the hidden treasure within creation, the truth the truth that even in suffering there is divine power. So like I told you, you start looking at these saints, you start looking at these archetypes over here in Hoodoo, they start looking ancestral. And they're looking at Black Madonna looks ancestral. She again looking like the first mother. And we just got through talking about her in Conjure. You should have some type of I've always give you a guidebook on how to set up your table, what they like, what images to put up there, what fragrances they like, what stones to put up there. I'm just very thorough when it comes to working in Conjure. And that's what we do in our spiritual practice because we understand spiritism. The science of spiritism is in Hoodoo. Our ancestors already had that science. And then later we have this guy named Alan Kardec coming on the scene. Again, we got these people that don't look like us taking this. And in fact, they got mad at a band of people and said, "Oh, they had to separate with them because they got mad at them because they took the practice and they start contacting their ancestors and working with the Orishas." And that made Alan Kardec upset. So he wanted to separate himself from that. But again, you still got this knowledge from us. Y'all stole the occult knowledge from us, and then y'all went out, Aleister Crowley, all of y'all went out and started watering it down, forming your own. Y'all said it ain't religion, but when y'all get in these occult, y'all start worshiping these crazy deities, or you will make up a whole different deity. But you got it from ancient Egypt. None of them can talk about the occult science without talking about the ancient science of your ancestors. None of them. None of them. It's not an occult a book that I have read where they got to mention ancient Kemet. They don't have choices. That's where they got it from. It looks that way, Royal Goddess. Royal Goddess said, "Is the Black Madonna the original Mary?" It looks that way by reading how what they say about her. She was the first and the original that was known in the ancient world. People went all around the world, just like you see Jesus being popular globally. It was very the worship of Isis was global. You had people all around the world bound down to the divine mother image everywhere. That she probably known by different names, but it still was the same thing. And the church tried to get that out of there, honey. They tried their best, honey. That they could. They would have got rid of her, but them people, our ancestors weren't going. They was like, no, no, no. You got some people in the Catholic Church, they don't even pray to Jesus. They pray to Mary. They call her Queen of Angels. And it makes sense that mama would come first. I don't know why you put the son in front of the mama. I don't understand. Son wouldn't be here without the mama. She's the mother of the universe. What do you mean? The sun is nothing but a light in the universe. She over the whole universe. So now we're gonna serve the sun, but the sun is in the womb, in the matrix of the universe. What are you talking about? It don't even make sense. See, I'm gonna break it down to you like that because this how the ancestors provide wisdom to me. And the ancestors tell you something so plain, it be so simple, and you be like, damn, how come I didn't think of it like that? Because baby, they didn't taught you not to think. They done taught you not to think. But over here, we're gonna have you looking at things like this because that's how we looked at it. We was looking at this stuff. Your mind, I'm telling you, your mind gonna be working over here. You talk to them ancestors. Ain't nobody gonna be able to make a fool out of you. Okay, we need to get that communication going. Not gonna keep y'all much longer. Do anyone have any questions? Hey, son, kids, how you doing, beloved? Now we've covered a lot here. Probably some stuff you didn't want to hear. I'm so sorry, but I had to say it because y'all, these folks could stand around here trying to get people initiated. They said nothing about no ancestors or nothing, honey, and trying to get you to work hoodoo and ain't said nothing about no ancestors. And then when they fail, they telling you that you need to get rid of all this lower vibrational energies and talking and stuff like that, honey. The only way that baby gonna be able to do it is she heal, and that ain't gonna happen overnight. They have to heal first. So stop showing them stuff and provide them a service where you can help them heal and then take them into hoodoo. Stop showing them putting the cart before the horse and provide a service of healing. But see, if you do that, you're going to have to sit down somewhere and help them. You're going to actually have to go in and use your expertise and what the ancestors show. You have to slow down and help really provide a real service to these people. And it's more than just spells. More than just selling them stuff. Ain't no good. They no good for them to buy that stuff, and they ain't got no relationship with their ancestors. They don't even know if they should be using it. I missed the meat and potatoes of the combo. Go watch it on it'll probably be on YouTube, Sunkissed. I have a YouTube channel too. I'm streaming this from YouTube. So you can always go back and watch it over there. Okay? I think a lot of spiritual leaders should focus on shadow work fully first before anything else. Come on, speak. And this shouldn't be showing you nothing. I don't even show you that over there because I know that's not important. I let you read it, so you'll have resources there when you decide to do your magic, because you're gonna learn over there. If you do anything, it's because you learned from your ancestors and you read the book and you put it together. But I'm not gonna be posting you. I post recommendations, but I don't sit up there and post you several spells to do. That ain't helping you. Your ancestors gonna show you how to do that. And it's gonna look different from what I tell you to do anyway. What I recommend for you to do, they might tell you to put a twist on there and say, okay, she told you to do this, but we don't want you to use that. We want you to use this herb instead of that herb. That happens. Don't mean it ain't hoodoo. Your ancestors putting their stamp on it, they putting their frequency on it. How they want it to work. Okay. Why did they separate the Virgin and the white Madonna? I don't I don't have an answer for that. I don't even know what you're saying, like the white Madonna. I don't know what that is. Why did they separate the Virgin? I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're trying to ask me. Royal Goddess. I don't know what you're trying to ask me there. Why did they separate the Virgin from the white Madonna? I don't even understand that question. I'm sorry, I don't understand it, sweetie. Okay. So again, if they ain't talking about that, don't let them, because what's gonna happen, you're gonna get yourself all crossed up, and you're gonna try to be figuring out what's wrong. And you ain't gonna know what's wrong because you ain't got your ancestral veneration together. You ain't healed. Uh, you just not doing the work. Yeah, that's non-negotiable. You can't negotiate that. If you want hoodoo, you got to have the ancestors. You got to be healing because you're gonna be working with elevated ancestors, not family members. And some of them family members, hell, they tired. They've been working all their life. Why would you want to put them on your altar and work? You know, you want to work with the elevated ancestors and heal first, and ask that family member would they like to be put, if they love you and they treat you well. Ask them, do they want to be put on there? Hell, some of them folks tired. They was in survival mode trying to take care of you and make sure you was okay, and then you gonna put them back to work again? Really? Really? Some of them weren't even healed. Okay, they was in survival mode when they passed on like that, and you can finna put them back on the altar and have them working again. Why? Give them a choice. Work with the most elevated, vibrant ancestors. They're there to help you. That's what they're there for. They got a lot of wisdom. They've had time to rest, and they've been waiting on you to call them. They are eager to work with you and help you elevate yourself and help you heal that line. Leave them family members alone until you have done that work, and they come to you or the elevated ancestors say, "Well, your mama or your want to work with you. Put them on the altar and start working with them and giving them offerings. Let them tell you that. Don't do that on your own. You don't need to be doing that until you heal in the first place. Let them come to you and tell you that's what they want. Don't put them to work like that. Okay? Especially when you know that their life wasn't right. They was in survival mode. Them folks was tired. You know, let them folks rest. Hell, they worked like hell when they was here. You think they want to be keep working over there on the other side? Some of them don't. Okay. All right. So we have covered a lot of grounds here. You know what we're doing over there. We're getting ready to go down more in astrology. This is going to be fun for Kay. I think Kay is the one who wanted to know more about astrology. We have a wonderful book over there where we got two wonderful lectures and book reviews over there that's really going to help you line up your work with astrology, because we're going deeper into that. And some of you like working with astrology, some of you like just working with the days. But again, there's so many options in approaching your work and how you want to align it with these energies. And we're definitely going to talk about that. All right, you guys. You guys take care. Thank you for being here. And again, if you're interested in knowing more about hoodoo, you serious about hoodoo, you want to learn, you know it's more than spells, get over there in our community. You're going to get a lot of resources and you're going to get a better foundation. I promise you. Okay? Love you. You guys take care. Okay, God, I don't know. I didn't know that question. I didn't understand the questions you was asking me, Royal Goddess. If you're in over there in our community, you probably want to pose that question in the chat, or you probably want to look over the materials that we got in there, and it might be an answer to your question in there. You're welcome, Green Mama Source. It might be an answer to your question in there if you review, if you go through the materials, but I don't know the answer to that, or I don't understand the question you're asking. All right. Thank you for being here, beloved. And I'll come here again and share more information. But if you truly want to learn hoodoo, it's only so much I'm going to share here. Get over there in our community and you can learn more over there.